Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another watch-along live stream on the Dibbly-Dobbly podcast. We're back for the second test match between Australia and the West Indies from the Adelaide Oval, session number 3, day number 3, and it's been an absolute domination by the Australian team. The West Indies are fighting hard, but it's proven to be a difficult challenge for them today, and not going to get any easier as we approach the final session of what will be an exciting finish to day 3 and to this day of test match cricket. Thanks for joining us, everyone, and moments away from the last session starting. Interesting to see what Australia do. Do they look to declare? Do they look to have a bowl to the West Indies tonight? It's going to be an interesting sort of conundrum being posed to Steve Smith, whether or not he chooses to bat on or declare. It's up to him. He is the captain. He can make that decision as we progress into the evening session of this test match. Bit of a reminder of what's happened thus far in this test match. Australia currently batting in their second innings. They're 3 for 136 from 22.2 overs. They lead by 433 runs. That's a lot of runs. They'll be looking to push that on beyond 500 if they can, like they did in Perth in the last test. So definitely a very interesting sort of conundrum for Steve Smith, whether he decides to bat into the last session, declare tomorrow morning or tomorrow afternoon, or he decides to declare and Australia have a bowl at the West Indies tonight and look to take early wickets under lights with the pink ball. This being a day-night test, of course, it challenges every captain's different set of circumstances, conditions, and that. But it will be interesting to see what happens in this last session of play. But definitely Australia in the ascendancy. There's no questions about that. And they're well on top in this test match and series. For the West Indies, they have to show some more fight and resilience in this test match. Not going to be easy for them again. But as we saw in Perth, this West Indian side can show a bit of fight. And at least in this second innings, they took 3 wickets, which was promising. Something to get out of this tour before they finish and go back home to the Caribbean. With only 2 days remaining of this series. So be interesting to see what Australia do and how they go about tonight's final session of play. But dominant series, as we know, from Australia. They've outplayed the West Indies in every department. We saw that in Perth. We've seen this here in Adelaide, obviously. The batting, the bowling, the fielding has been superior compared to the West Indian batting and bowling and fielding. It's been quite poor on their point of view. And they won't be happy about how they've gone about things with the bat and with the ball in this series. But Australia will be very delighted, especially heading into the South Africa series, which is starting next week, and it's not far away. And they'll be hoping to get some confidence going into that series. But a reminder, Australia, they lead by 433 runs, 22.2 overs in their second innings. They're 3 for 136. It's just a matter of time when Australia do enforce that declaration. It's just a matter of when. Would they like to bat on a little bit after tea and look to extend the lead, which is currently 433? They will hope that the lead will get out to 450, maybe 500. That's certainly probably the number they have in mind. And I think that's enough, but they already have enough runs as it is at the moment. But thinking about the bowlers, making sure they're recovered well enough. They didn't bowl much overs in the first innings. I think they bowled around about 60-plus overs or something like that, which is not bad for a day's work. So they'll be hoping that they can give them enough of a rest so the bowlers can be effective in the second innings, which is the question that Australia have to ask themselves. And certainly Steve Smith, who is the stand-in skipper for this test match because Pat Cummins is not playing due to a quad injury that he picked up in the last test match. So moments away from the last session of play beginning here at the Adelaide Oval, and it's the day-night test, and the players and the umpires are walking out to the middle, and we're going to get this last session underway. Australia will continue batting on. We thought that Australia may declare over the tea break, but Steve Smith's decided, no, I'm going to keep on batting, and Marnus Labuschagne got dismissed just before the tea break. And he had a pretty good partnership with Steve Smith, but I believe it will be Travis Head that will be opening the batting with him. And, will be coming out after the tea break to join Steve Smith out in the middle of the Adelaide Oval. He had a pretty good test match. Travis Head batted well in the first innings, and he'll be looking to rectify that in the second innings. The game's set up perfectly for Travis Head, an aggressive type player, likes to get on with it, and he likes to force the pace, and he'll be certainly doing that in this second innings as he walks out with Steve Smith, the skipper. So Travis Head, he'll be looking to play his natural game, be aggressive, look to take on West Indian bowlers, look to be aggressive, look to put the foot down. I think Australia would have discussed their tactics at the tea break. They would have said, well, let's just try and bat on if we can here. And if we can do that, that will be the question for Australia. They've got enough runs as it is, 433. They'll be looking to get 450. Probably up towards 500 would be the goal for them. No doubt about that. So Travis Head joins Steve Smith out in the middle. He's taking his guard. He's raring to go. Steve Smith batting well. He's looked pretty good. He's been aggressive today. Looking to be aggressive, looking to put the pressure on. The Australian skipper for this test match, obviously. Filling in for Pat Cummins, who has been ruled out with a quad injury ahead of this second test from Adelaide. Thanks for joining us, everyone. And yes, the game is one-sided. This test match is definitely one-sided. But for the West Indies, something for them to try and gain from this second innings, look to take more wickets if they can. They've already taken 3. Roston Chase with 2 wickets to his name, and another wicket falling to Anderson Phillip in this over, obviously. So we've got 4 balls left of the 23rd over, because the wicket fell in the second ball just before tea. So here we go. It's going to be Phillip to Head. This one's short, and Head lets it go to the keeper for no run. And that's his first ball negotiated, Travis Head. West Indies looking to get wickets, get more wickets, and look to put pressure on the Australian batters in Smith and Head. But Australia have a clear intention, and that's to score as many runs as they can in quick time to look to put this game in their direction, which is already the case. The game has certainly been dominated by Australia. So Phillip gets ready to bowl his 4th ball of the over. He's going to be bowling around the wicket, right arm around the wicket to Travis Head, the left-hander. Phillip in as he bowls to Head. This one short, and Head defends on the back foot to cover. And there is no run. Travis Head taking a few balls to get in, get set. No need to rush things. He'll be looking to ease into his innings, and hopefully Australia can definitely push on in this evening session of this day-night test from the Adelaide Oval. So we've got 2 balls left of the 23rd over as Anderson Phillip had a pretty good time with it with the bat, got 40-odd. He's in again to Head, and Head uppercuts him. Tries to attempt an uppercut, but he plays and misses it straight through to De Silva, the keeper, for no run. Yet to get off the mark, Travis Head. 3 balls in, yet to get off the mark. Short ball there from Anderson Phillip. Trying to be aggressive, trying to put Travis Head under some sort of pressure. Travis Head tried to slash that, but unfortunately played a miss. Straight through the keeper, no run. So for the West Indies, plan is simple, just to take as many wickets as they can here. Can't really gain much as a bowling side in this situation. Phillip into Head, playing a miss from Travis Head. And straight through to the keeper to end the over. It's no runs. The end of the over, it's 3 for 136. The score remains the same as it was before the tea adjournment. Australia 3 for 136, 23 overs. They lead by 433 runs. That is a significant lead in this test match for the West Indies. Who will have to create some history, of course, trying to beat their own record, which was 418 for 7 that they chased down in 2003 against Australia and Antigua. I don't think the West Indies can do that this time around here, but you never know in the game of cricket. Funny things have happened. All right, so Jason Holder to continue. He was bowling before tea. He'll be bowling from the cathedral end at the Adelaide Oval, which is the scoreboard end. And he'll be looking to get a wicket to his name. He's bowled okay throughout the series, without luck at times. He'll be pretty disappointed with the way he got out today with the bat, just edging one outside the off stump. He'll be disappointed by that. So Jason Holder in to Steve Smith for his over. And this one's full, and Smith hits it high into the air, onto the leg side. Man's underneath it, drop catch. A drop catch from Azari Joseph. And Steve Smith trying to go big onto the leg side. He was trying to hit that way into the crowd. Didn't quite time it. Azari Joseph was the fielder there in the deep, around about deep square leg. And he put it down. The West Indies, their fielding throughout this series has been great. Dropped the catch. Azari Joseph got there and he juggled it and it popped out. Oh dear. Oh, he had it. Second attempt, he couldn't get it. Drop catch. It's not going the way of the West Indies. And their fielding has been poor. Not doing the basics right, the West Indies. They've been quite disappointing when it comes to the basics of the game. And Steve Smith gets a single. Next ball. Rotates the strike. Hello, John. Hope you're well. You say, not sure we're batting on tonight. Says we'll be batting again tomorrow too. I think that's the plan, John. Obviously, look, there's plenty of time in the test match. It's only day 3, session number 3. There's plenty of time for Australia to bowl the West Indies out, let's be honest, given how the West Indies batted in their first innings, being bowled out for 214. That's an indication that the Australian bowlers have bowled well. Yeah, that's definitely the plan for Australia. I think the lead is already up beyond 430, so there's no need to bat on. They could declare tonight, but they're thinking about the bowlers, keeping them fresh. It is a hot day, and now as we enter the nighttime period here in Adelaide, it's a lot cooler. But for Australia, they can do whatever they want. It's up to Steve Smith. He's out there in the middle. By the way that Australia are batting, their aggressive approach, it's an indication that they want to get on with it tonight. So have a look at Australia's batting. It's been aggressive in this second innings. That's an indication that they want to have a bowl at the West Indies tonight under lights. Not quite the nighttime period yet. Another single for Australia. Travis Head off the mark. Holder in again. This one full, and Smith guides this nicely through the point region for a single. Dr. Jihan, hello, hope you're well. You say schoolboard cricket. It hasn't been great from the West Indies. The running between the wickets, the run-outs, the misfields, the drop catch, it hasn't been great. And for the West Indies, it just hasn't been a great test match for them with bat and ball. But they've taken some wickets here in this second innings, and that's good to see. Azari Joseph dropping what you would think is a regulation catch as Holder continues to head. This one down the leg side, Head try to glide it over to find leg. Playing a miss, straight through to Silva, who does well behind the stumps for no run. But thanks for joining us, everyone. Session number 3, day number 3, day-night tests from the Adelaide Oval. And Australia are in complete control. And I hope everyone's enjoying the test match. If you're an Australian supporter, you'll be quite happy about how they're going at the moment. Holder in to Head. This one full, trapped him on the pad. An appeal for LBW from Holder. Umpire Kumar Masina says not out. There's an overthrow. Will they get a single there? I don't think they will on the overthrow. I think it's a dot ball to end the over. They do get a single on the overthrow there. Poor fielding again from the West Indies. No one backing up there. It's the end of the over. It's 3 for 40. After 24 overs, the lead for Australia is 437. The question is, how long will Australia bat for? Will they bat on tomorrow morning or tomorrow afternoon, this being a day-night test? Or will they declare tonight, have a crack at the West Indies tonight with that brand new pink kookaburra ball under lights at the Adelaide Oval? And what we saw yesterday from Australia, they bowled really well. And you could just see that the West Indies were always going to struggle under lights. And that was the case yesterday, losing 4 wickets. And they lost a lot of wickets today in a complete batting collapse. Hello, Han. Hope you're well. I think you have to go through 2 streams today, Han, because Nick's live streaming. If you caught his stream, he's still going at the moment. As Phillip continues to head around the wicket, bowls, and this one's a dot ball straight through to cover for head. Hits it straight to the fielder at cover. But welcome, Han, as always. For those who want to catch 2 streams, obviously Nick's live streaming, India and Bangladesh. I was in the chat earlier there. So he's live streaming that. India doing well against Bangladesh in that last game of the series there. But if you want to flick over to the test match with us, you can. Phillip to head, and he gives this one a big heave-o down to long on. Is he going to go to the boundary? They won't quite get there. He was trying to hit the cover off that, Travis Head, but he comes back for 3 runs. Travis Head batted extremely well in this test match. Batted well in the first innings. He was a bit disappointed when he got run out by Cameron Green, but at the end of the day, these things happen, do they, in the game? But Travis Head tried to hit that over the top of long on for 6. Didn't quite time it, but he got 3 runs. Got 3 runs nonetheless. Yeah, didn't quite time that, Travis Head, just looking to overhit that. But he's on 4 off 9. Smith's 29 off 29. Run a ball for him. Phillip in again to Smith. This one's short. Smith pulls this to the fielder at deep square leg, who does well to cut it off. And they'll come through for a single. Travis Head will be on strike. A wonderful day-night test at the Adelaide Oval. One of my favourite test matches of the year, of course, in the Australian calendar. That one banged in short there from Phillip. Didn't quite get up with that short ball. And Steve Smith was able to hit that straight to the fielder at deep square leg, who does well to save the boundary. But for the West Indies, it's been a difficult test match. It's been a difficult series. But no doubt they will learn a lot from this tour. As Phillip continues to head around the wicket. Head tries to pull this. Playing a miss. Straight through to the keeper for no run. It's going to be signalled a wide by Rod Tucker. Rod Tucker says it's 1 for the over, and it's a wide. Bit too short there from Anderson Phillip. He banged this one in halfway down the pitch. Oh, well, Travis Head did get his bat near the ball, but the umpire at square leg called it a wide, so Australia will take that. 1 more run onto the total. So, Travis Head, 4 off 9, batted well in the first innings. He'll be looking to kick on here. Phillip in to Head, this one full on his stumps, and Head glides this nicely down to long on for a single. Han says, I'm coming to be back and forth, trolling Nick and watching your stream. Well, of course you will, Han. Well, thanks for joining us as always, Han. But good to be watching some Test cricket. If you want to watch it here on the channel, here on the podcast, or if you want to go over to Nick and Cricket for Americans, is streaming at the moment. If you want to watch India and Bangladesh. As Phillip bowls to Smith, this one glided from Smith to backward point for no run. 1 ball left off the 25th over. Dr. Jihan says, any thoughts referring to Warner's manager's recent comments? Surely Smith's referral to the leadership group in the press conference didn't just mean him and Warner. Thoughts? Yeah, Jihan, I did see that. Yeah, very complicated. Of course, with what's going on with David Warner, of course, obviously his leadership ban and not going through with it and not going through the appeal process or whatever. Of course, you're going to have these things come out. So, yeah, as this one short and wide outside off stump from Phillip. Smith glides it down to deep backward point for a single. It's the end of the 25th over. Australia are 3 for 147. They're going well in the second innings here after 25 overs. And the lead well over 440. Yeah, well, I haven't had much time to digest what were the comments made there, Jihan. I haven't had time reading it. But, yeah, as I said, you know, of course, these things are going to come out. You know, David Warner's at war with Cricket Australia, and it's very ugly at the moment. So it's not nice to see. But, yeah, very interesting comments that he made about the test match that Australia played in Hobart against South Africa. As Jason Holder continues to Smith, this one wide off stump, and Smith drives him through the covers, and it's racing away to the cover boundary.
Sorry, I couldn't quite hear you. Could you please repeat what you said?
Sorry about that, everyone. My phone going off again in the background. Siri, picking up to what I'm saying. Sorry about that. Nice drive there through the covers from Smith. A couple of runs there. And Australia moving along nicely. Jihan says, it makes me wonder, is this a whole cover-up job from CA? Let's blame it all on Warner. He's the one most perceived as the bad egg of the group, pathetic from Cricket Australia, in my opinion. Yeah, Jihan, you know, Cricket Australia haven't handled the whole process with this very well. They haven't handled it well. They just can't handle anything well. Holder to head, and he drives this. He smashed Jason Holder through the covers for a boundary. Travis Head picking up where he left off in the first innings. And that was a poor delivery from Holder. That was short and wide outside off stump, and Head just threw the hands at that. Nicely through the covers for 4 runs. Travis Head, he wants some runs. He was a bit disappointed with the run out in the first innings when he got out in the 170s, but, you know, he batted extremely well, Travis said. So good to see him in the runs. Holder in, this one wide from him. Head lets it go to the keeper for no run. Dot ball there. Hans says, ended his stream as soon as I appeared. Well, Nick ended the stream, did he? Well, he's in the comments here. Nick. That's Holder continues to head. This one short, Head, uppercuts it down to third man. Doesn't carry all the way. It's a single. Anderson Phillip ran from the third man boundary to try and catch that, but unfortunately just fell short. Nick, of course. Hello, Nick. Great to see you here. You say, history for India, baby. Kishan, 210. Curly, first century since 2019. Nick sees it live. Gabe did not. Great night. Well, yes, I did have a look at the scorecard, and impressive from him, Ishan Kishan. And he will certainly remember that knock for his the rest of his career. Holder in, this one a full delivery. Traps Smith on the pads. Smith falls onto the ground. There's an appeal for LBW, but the umpire says not out. And Steve Smith did well. Maybe a bit of bat on that. Going down the leg side, I think. And so Nick says, and KL sucks again. Keep him away from the team. So Nick says, yeah, I got to update my thumbnail, so I want to hear the golden pipes from Gabe. And the debauchery from Hand as well. That's a single there from Smith to end the over. He races to 35 for 35. It's 3 for 156. Lead for Australia, growing with every boundary and every run. Thanks for joining us, everyone. Great to be back here. West Indies, tough work for them in the second innings, of course. Nick says, not Gabe, sorry, I meant the golden pipes from me. Well, thank you, Nick. Yes, a lot of people do like my commentary. It reminds them of Richie Beno. I suppose Richie Beno, one of the legends of cricket commentary. But if you want to join us for a bit, Nick, you can. You're more than welcome to, if you want to. But great to see you in the chat, as always. We've got 31 overs left in the day's play. So Australia, depends what they can do with the declaration here. I think they're just going to bat until probably tomorrow afternoon and declare overnight. I think that's the plan. 3 for 156, 26 overs in the book. Steve Smith's raced along nicely. 35 off 35 balls. Travis Head's 10 off 13. It's sort of like a T20 knock here for Australia. Now, it looks like Azari Joseph's going to come back into the attack. What can he do? He bowls to Smith. This one, Smith pulls high into the air. Fielder underneath it. A deep backward square leg. Takes the catch in the end. He was running around like a headless goose. But he finally takes the catch. And what a catch that was from the fielder down there on the boundary. Steve Smith's got to go. And Australia lose their 4th wicket of this innings. Well, he fumbled the catch there, but in the end, he took the catch. Don't know who it was there on the boundary for the West Indies, but it was a very good catch indeed. Steve Smith is gone for a quick fire 36, the Australian skipper, for this test. He's gone. Very good catch. The West Indies get their 4th. And that will bring not Travis Head. He's already out there at the moment. It's Cameron Green who's going to be out there. Cameron Green didn't bat well in the first innings, and let's just hope Cameron Green can get a few runs in the second innings here. Didn't really look at his best in the first innings, but very good catch from Devon Thomas, the debutant. He's making his debut in this test match. Took a very good catch there at, I believe it was deep third man on the boundary rope there. But very good catch. Cameron Green comes to the middle. He'll be on strike. Doesn't matter if the batters cross anymore because it's always the new batter on strike when they change the laws recently. So Cameron Green at number 6. He will be looking to get some runs. Didn't quite bat well in the first innings. He made 9 and he looked a bit scratchy. That's understandable for someone who hasn't batted for a long time. He's been waiting for a while in this series. Joseph gets his first wicket. Bowls to Green. This one full and driven straight to mid-off for a quick single. Cameron Green off the mark. I want to see Cameron Green play a little bit aggressively here. I think it's important for him just to go out there with a clear mind and just hit the ball. See the ball, hit the ball in this situation. Sort of like what Travis Head's doing. I think it's important for Cameron Green just to go out there and express himself. It was a bit of a tough first innings for him, especially running out Travis Head in the way that he did. And no one means to run out anyone. But unfortunately, that happens in the game. Dr. Jihan says, I've got tickets to days 1 to 4 of the Gabba Test next week. Can we dominate South Africa as well? I hope so. That's a single down to long on from Head. He moves on to 11. Australia going about things nicely here at the Adelaide Oval. Well, that's good to hear, Gian. And definitely the test match starts next week. So not far away for the first test of the series against South Africa and Australia from Brisbane at the Gabba. As Cameron Green faces his second ball to Joseph. He's up, he bowls. This one banged in short. Cameron Green ducks underneath that. Straight through to the keeper for no run. Steve Smith just didn't quite time that at all. Hit it straight up in the air down to deep fine leg. And a very good catch from Thomas in the end there. he had to sort of backpedal there and didn't really quite pick up where the ball was going to land. But in the end, he did, judged it well. Something for the West Indies to smile about in this second innings. It's been a very tough test match for them. Joseph into Green, and Green smacks him straight back down the ground for a boundary. That's more like it, Cameron Green. Play with that aggressive approach and positive intent, and that's what he did there. He smashed that straight past Joseph down the ground for a boundary. He's 5 off 3. The lead now, 459. So the last ball of the over here, of the 27th over of the Australian innings. It'll be Joseph to bowl the last ball. He bowls to Green. This one high in the air from Green and taken. And Cameron Green's got to go. It was a short innings from Cameron Green. And he's gone, unfortunately. It's 5 for 162. Cameron Green gone. He didn't have a great first innings. Got out for 5 in the second innings here. Australia's lead is 459. But Cameron Green, I'm afraid, has to go try to overhit that one. Unfortunately, didn't quite time it. Skied it. Very good catch. Cameron Green has to go. Doesn't really matter for Australia. They've got enough runs in the bank. I think, judging by the way Cameron Green has batted, it's an indication that Australia will probably declare tonight, which I think is the right move because they've got enough runs. The West Indies batting hasn't been firing on all cylinders. And Cameron Green just skied that one straight up in the air. And another good catch from the West Indian fielder. He was the captain, Craig Braithwaite. Took a very good catch. Took a very good catch there. Craig Braithwaite, the captain. And that is the end of the over. 5 for 162. Australia lead by 459. Alex Carey arrives to the middle. We'll get through to the comments. We've missed a few. Han says, my thoughts on England winning the first test on that pitch. Crazy, Han. I can tell you, it was a crazy stuff. I was watching the last bit of that test match, and I can tell you it was crazy. Absolute crazy cricket. How on earth did England get a result on that pitch? I don't know. But it just shows the positive intent. And Ben Stokes, you got to walk the walk, but you got to talk the talk. He said, we're not playing for draws, and he's right. England definitely not playing for draws. As Jason Holder continues, and Travis Head gets a thick outside edge. And he gets it over to Silver's head for a couple of runs down to third man. But going back on that, it was crazy cricket. It really was. It just shows that England's mindset. They want to win and they want to play for victories, not for draws. And that's definitely the way they're going to go about it. And they're in a good position in the second test match at the moment. The pitch in Multan is certainly doing a lot more than it did in the first test in Rawalpindi. Holder in, this one full, and Head works it down to long on for a single. He moves on to 14. And Alex Carey batted well in the first innings. He'll be looking to get a few more runs in the second innings. He made 40-odd in the first innings. But, crazy cricket. But you got to take your hat off to Ben Stokes. He's a very smart cricketer when it comes to captaincy and tactics. And he tried everything, different field settings, different everything. So, be interesting to see how they go for the remainder of the Pakistan series. Carey defends this one to cover for Noura. And Australia here, the lead is almost 500. And hopefully Australia can, get the runs as quick as possible. They're certainly scoring at a good rate. Haven't checked the run rate, but it's certainly been very high in this innings thus far from Australia. Holder again. This one whipped away from Carey down to the long on boundary. He'll pick up a couple of runs. And he's off the mark. Good running there from Head and Carey. South Australian teammates, of course. And this is their home ground, the Adelaide Oval. Dr. Jihan says, I'm taking my parents. My dad's the ultimate Australian cricket fan. He talks about all those players from the 70s I've never heard of. Well, that's good, Jihan. Obviously, go and take your father to the cricket. That's good. Enjoy what will be a very exciting test match. At the Gabba for the first test, Australia and South Africa starting next week. Holder continues. Bowls to Carey. And Carey whips it off his pads down to find leg for a single. And Travis Head back on strike for the last ball of the over. Hahn says, it is snowing here. I was going to go out later. No, that's the weather over there in England. Cold and a bit of snow there. Thanks for that, Hahn. Yes, to say, Hahn, what is the deal with South Africa's versus Australia 11? Is it not the South Africa full test team? Travis Head uppercuts this down to third man. One bounce to third man for a single. It's the end of the over. That's 5 for 168. And 5 for 169, sorry. 5 for 169 after 28 overs. Australia's lead is growing with every over that has been bowled thus far in this innings. Hahn. Well, it's definitely going to be interesting for the South Africa team in terms of what their 11 will be for the first test. Pretty much I know what the Australian 11 is going to be, and it's probably going to be Pat Cummins back. Probably Scott Boland to keep his spot, and Josh Hazlewood probably missing out with that side strain. So I think it's fairly straightforward for the Australian team. For South Africa, they've got some decisions to make. Their pace attack's good. It's just their batting that's let them down a bit. It's a bit poor. Quite inexperienced in terms of playing Test cricket in Australia, but also Test cricket in general. So be interesting to see what they pick for their 11. Be interesting to see as that series begins next week. Australia's lead 466 as Joseph continues to Head. And Travis Head pulls this down to deep mid-wicket for a couple of runs potentially. He'll come back for the second. Good running. Lead now 468. Oh, now I know what you said, Hahn. Yes, well, it's a tour. It's a Cricket Australia 11. It's the Australia A team playing South Africa in that tour match. At the moment, obviously, that's their warm-up match before the series. But South Africa definitely getting some preparation in before the first test as Joseph bowls to Head, and Head pulls this behind square down to third man. To Silva gives chase, and he'll cut it off for a single. Travis Head has signalled his intentions of looking to force the pace here. Steve Smith's got his baggy green on. He's got his long sleeves on, so I think Australia are going to declare tonight, which I think is a good move. I think that's a positive move, I should say. Quite a positive mood in the camp at the moment because they're playing good cricket. So I think tonight, the lead is 468. That's enough. West Indies struggled yesterday with the pink ball under lights. And I think they'll struggle again. Dot ball there from Joseph. Carey defends it onto the leg side for a dot. Dr. Jihan says, watching Test cricket, it's really piqued my interest again after all the T20 nonsense. Really can't take T20 seriously. I think most people feel that, Jihan. John says, declare now. What's the point of any more? Well, I think they're just declaring for a certain time, John. I think they're just waiting for the right time. In a day-night test, you want the lights to take full effect. as this one's banged in short from Joseph, and Carey pulls through square leg to the fielder at deep square leg for a single. Picked out nicely there, Carey. Picked up the line and length nicely, and good pull shot for only 1 run. Jihan says West Indies might score 460 to win. I don't think they can, Jihan. They will have to break all sorts of records. They have to break their own record if they are going to achieve that. But I probably think they'll struggle again. The West Indies got bowled out for 214 today. They lost 6 wickets in the first session for over 100 runs in 30-odd overs. So that's not a good day with them with the bat. As Head glides this to deep point for a single. Nazari Joseph, he's got a lot of potential, got some good pace. And we've seen that throughout the series with some short balls, especially when he was troubling Labuschagne the other day in Perth. Dr. Jihan says, as much as the pitch was talked about, 37 wickets in were taken in 5 days. That's enough for a result. It was the bowling that produced the result. Yep. That's pretty much right there. As Joseph continues to Carey, last ball of the over. This one's whipped off Carey's pads through square leg for a single. They were thinking about 2. They don't want another run out again, Australia. We saw that many times from the West Indies today. So a single to finish. It's 5 for 179 after 29 overs. The lead is 472. Australia, it's a matter of time before they declare. The camera was just showing Steve Smith in the viewing room. He's got his baggy green on, so he's ready to field. Enough runs as it is at the moment. Are we going to see some, well, to quote the late, great Tony Gregg, the car park's full and we're going to see a bit of carnage out there today. Hopefully, when Australia bowl, we could see some carnage. West Indies, they're batting in this series. They fought hard at times, but today just slipped away a bit. But their talenders at least provided some fight and resistance as Anderson Phillip continues to Carey. This one short, left outside the off stump from Carey for no run. Dr. Jihan says if it was as flat as everyone made out, Pakistan could have had a net for 3 days, but they weren't able to do that. Yeah, it was a pretty placid pitch, but England played good cricket. They played positive cricket, and they made the game interesting. I think most people thought, you know what, I'm not really going to watch this game. But in the end, most people did, and they were quite happy to see England win. Obviously, one of England's best wins away from home in Test cricket as Phillip bowls to Carey. This one short outside off stump. Carey pulls it through square leg for a single. He moves on to 6. Travis Head will take strike. Han says, I usually see Australia versus England 11 in warm-ups. Never seen it written as Australians. Really? Well, it's usually Cricket Australia 11 or Australia A when the second team plays for Australia. But they're currently playing South Africa at the moment. Phillip in, Head hits this high into the air. It's over the rope for 6. The fielder at deep mid-wicket tried to save it. Chandapal there, but he parried it over the rope for 6 runs. And that's a maximum there from Travis Head. Banged in short from Phillip. Travis Head gave that a big heave-ho. For a moment there, I thought he didn't quite time it, but he got enough on it to go over the rope at deep mid-wicket for 6. Brandon Chandapal, or Tagnarine Chandapal, he likes to be called Brandon, try to field that ball, but in the end, didn't quite get there. Travis Head goes big again. Same area as the last 6, and it'll be 6 again. The same spot as the last one. Travis Head, he's having a field day. 30 off 22. This has been some extraordinary batting from Travis Head. No movement from Steve Smith. He's unmoved, not signalling the bat is in. And couple of maximums from Travis Head. He's gone bang, bang in this over. Nick, appreciate it. Nick says, everyone, check to make sure you have liked the stream and have subscribed. Thank you, Nick. Appreciate that. Make sure you do all those good things, everyone. And that one from Head works it for a single onto the offside. It's been a productive over from Australia. The lead is 487. And Travis Head is batting extremely well in this test match. I thought he's had a great series thus far. Great to see Travis Head scoring runs. I'm a bit biased, of course, because he's from South Australia, and I like to see him and Carey do well. And it's good to see him and Carey do well. And they're batting together in a test match for Australia out in the Adelaide Oval, which is a good thing. This one from Phillip is full outside off stump. He drives this Carey to the fielder at deep cover for a single. But yes, make sure, everyone, you like the stream and subscribe, and make sure you do that. Do all those good things, of course. And also click the bell so you can get the notifications as well, so you don't miss out when we do a live stream. So make sure you do that, and make sure you share it as well. Last ball of the over, Phillip to Head. This one short. Head pulls this. Playing a miss, I think, or is he out? No. I don't think he got a bit of battle glove on that Head. In the end, they'll get a single. And it's the end of the over. End of the over. Let's have a look. No, Travis Head didn't get any battle glove on that. He tried to pull it down to fine leg, playing a miss. It's 5 for 192. After 30 overs, Australia well in control in the test match. Just a matter of time when Australia will declare. That is the question. Hans says, are Australia looking to hit 500 before declaring? Well, they usually like that number, Han. Probably around about 500. Look, they've got enough runs as it is. The lead's almost 490. So I think, well, they should declare now, but they're just waiting for the right time. So the lead is 489. And it's going to be Azari Joseph, to continue. And a single first ball from Travis Head. Score moves on to 5 for 193. John says, if Smith is just thinking of a number declaration, can't agree with that line of thought. Why drag it out, given we need to rest the bowlers, finish it tomorrow, and give them an extra day? Yep. Can understand your reasonings there, John. And single there from Carey down to third man for one. And good crowd in Adelaide. It's been good to see the people rock up and turn up to Adelaide. Obviously, a wonderful cricket ground, the Adelaide Oval. Been there many times in the past. And good to see people enjoying the cricket. Quite big crowds over the last few days of this test. But, yep, I can understand your thoughts there, John. But I think Australia's just waiting for the right time to declare. Certain amount of overs. It comes down to that. Joseph to Head. This one short and wide outside off stump. Head smashes this through the covers to the cover boundary for 4 runs. And he is on 37. And that's another boundary for Travis Head. He's had a pretty good test match, 170 odd in the first innings. And now 37 in the second innings. He just creamed that through the covers for a boundary. The West Indies are just waiting. It's declaration bowling, as we call it. Just waiting for Australia to say that's the end of the innings. And it's the turn of the West Indian batters to try and negate the Australian bowlers. This one short from Joseph again and pulled from Travis Head straight to the fielder at deep mid-wicket for a single. Han says, I bet South Africa are delighted that they let Marnus Labuschagne and Devon Conway get away. Yeah. Well, they are from South Africa originally, but that's the problem with South Africa. Many of their players who have played early cricket in South Africa tend to go to other countries. And obviously, Jihan says Michael Nessa. Yes, Michael Nessa is from South Africa as well originally. And now he's here in Australia. Steve Smith unmoved. He's just waiting for the right time to declare. If a wicket falls, I think Australia will declare. If not, Steve Smith's got a number in mind. Joseph bowls to Carey. This one full. Traps Carey on the crease. Carey defends, and there's no run. We've got 26 overs remaining after this, before the end of the day's play. So if Australia do declare, 2 overs will be taken off that. So 24 overs left in the day with the 10-minute changeover. So I think Australia are just waiting how many overs we want to have a bowl to the West Indian batters tonight. Or do we declare now or whatever? So I think Steve Smith's thinking about that. Last ball of the over from Carey. He's bowled him, knocked him over. Joseph has bowled Carey, and that's it. Australia have declared at 6 for 199 after the 31st over. Well, I was right. If a wicket fell, they were going to declare, and that's what happened. 6 for 199. Australia have declared their innings. Lead is well over nearly 500 runs for the West Indies to chase. Alex Carey got clean bowled there. Doesn't matter. Australia are in a good position in the Test match. And for the West Indies, they will have to bat for 24 overs. I think 2 overs for changeover. So they'll have to bat for 24 overs to survive today. But for the West Indies, tough challenge for them and their openers. Australia have declared, and the West Indies will be looking to try and survive this last session if they can. But Australia, pretty good result for them to declare. No-brainer to declare when they did. As soon as a wicket fell, declare and get the West Indies out there and have a crack tonight with this pink ball, this new pink ball under lights. So the West Indies have declared. We'll get through the comments. We're going to have a changeover of 10 minutes, so we're going to lose two overs. We'll get through the comments that everyone's been writing in. John says, nice little memorial for the late Bacchus. Obviously, Rod Marsh with the iron gloves. The irony wasn't lost on me. Yeah, it was. I didn't know that the Adelaide Oval, the Saka, did that, but very fitting tribute to one of the greats of Australian cricket, Rod Marsh. With that memorial outside the members' pavilion at the Adelaide Oval. One of a kind, Rod Marsh, and certainly one of the good people in Australian cricket. Very good wicketkeeper, as we know, and very good coach, especially after his playing days with the academies and all that. Dr. Jihan says, did you have any thoughts on Head giving Green a serve after the run out? I thought Green deserved it too dozy. Well, I think both of them were at fault, maybe. Both of them hesitated. Cameron Green didn't call loudly. But look, of course Travis Head was frustrated. Of course, when you get run out for 170 odd and you want 200 on a pitch that is pretty good for batting, as it is here at the Adelaide Oval, I can understand that. But look, at the end of the day, I think they just brushed it aside and say, you know what, that happens. We move on. I think Ricky Ponting said on commentary he wasn't sure who was at fault either. But when you look at the replay, both of them were indecisive, really. But in the end, Travis Head, he went halfway down the pitch and got stranded. So at the end of the day, he's probably the one to blame because he was halfway down the pitch and couldn't get back in time. But that happens. Runouts happen, and that's not how you want to get out. But he batted well. And Cameron Green, he's a young kid. Get around him, tap him on the shoulder and say, that's okay. That's fine. Don't worry about it. Don't stress yourself about it. It happens. Mix-ups. It's a part of the game. But, Travis Head wasn't happy about it. But, Nick says, only after you like the stream and only after you blow out the candles to your Gabe shrine. Well, thanks for that, Nick. Dr. Jihan says, yeah, too much of a gentle giant, in my opinion. Needs to... yeah, with Cameron Green, he's a promising player, Cameron Green. And look, at the end of the day, you could see it in his face that he was a bit disappointed to run out Travis Head, obviously. But at the end of the day, these things happen. You make a mistake and that happens. But you move on from it pretty quickly. So I hope him and Travis Head have buried the hatchet and have said, you know what, doesn't matter. We'll move on to the next test. That happens. But, yeah. Part of the game, run-outs, but you don't want to get run out as a batter. But that's just the way it goes. Hans says, how many wickets will the West Indies lose in the session? I reckon 2. Well, yesterday they lost 4. So I wouldn't put it past Australia picking up 4 wickets again in this last session. The West Indies did struggle last night with the pink ball. It didn't do much. Mitchell Starc did get a bit of swing. So he's hoping for that again. But definitely a big challenge for the West Indies and their openers, especially Braithwaite and Chanderpaul. How do they approach this? They'll definitely go about it the same way they did in Perth. But different conditions with the pink ball. It's not going to be easy. Dr. Jihan says West Indies will lose 3 runouts. Well, their running wasn't the best today. Very, very poor with the running and the communication side of things. And the West Indies, they've struggled to do the basics well in this series, full stop. You have a look at Australia, they've done the basics well. The West Indies have just lacked doing the 1%ers right in terms of running between the wickets, etc. There was even a short run today. The West Indies ran one short, which you don't see every day. So things like that, little things like that, they need to do better, especially tapping your bat into the popping crease. That's a basic. And one of them ran a short run today. I can't remember who it was. But unfortunately for the West Indies, they've got a big challenge on their hands. It's not going to be easy. Australia definitely got their confidence up. The bowlers, hopefully Scott Boland can take a wicket. I would love to see Scott Boland get a wicket. Didn't get one in the first innings. Mitchell Starc bowled well. He'll bowl the first over, you would think. Hans says the England women destroyed the West Indies women team. Yes, I had a look at that series, and England, very dominant in that series. And obviously, the Australian women's team were over in India. They had a good win last night against the India team. And that was a pretty good result from Australia. So a very dominant display from the Australian team. Beth Mooney, Talia McGrath batted well in that partnership of 90+. I watched a little bit of the game last night and very impressed by how the Australian team went about it. The women's team, that is. But good to see the women's game growing and developing, and certainly a lot of series happening around the world at the moment, which is good to see. Shannon Humphreys says the Aussies are obviously going to get the job done. Yes, you would think that Australia will get the 10 wickets and win this series 2-0. Nothing's easy in Test cricket, but the Australian bowling attack's pretty good, even though there's no Cummins or Hazelwood. Scott Boland and Michael Ness has done a pretty good job. So the West Indies will need 497 runs to win. That is their target. And they will try to hopefully bat out 2 days to try and save this game, which is no easy feat. I can't remember too many teams doing that. Not easy, trying to bat out 2 days to save a game. But the Australian team are about to come out to the middle. And the West Indian opening pair of Braithwaite and young Chanderpaul will have to be on their game tonight with this pink ball. Not going to be easy. And will be making their way out to the middle. Let us know in the chat. What do you think is going to happen? How many wickets are Australia going to take? Will the West Indies survive? Well, this opening partnership's the key. If the opening partnership can blunt the Australian attack, as we saw in Perth, the defiance and resistance, they've got a good chance. But as we saw in the first innings yesterday, last night, the opening pair did not last very long. So if Australia can get an early wicket here, then it's going to be trouble signs for the West Indies. Han says the Windies and Australia should play at Old Trafford today. They would adore these conditions. I'm guessing it's under snow now. Han, obviously, the snow over there. Mitchell Starc is going to bowl. He's had a pretty good career with the pink ball. In day-night test matches, he's averaging 18. That's pretty good. And this is the right time for Australia to bowl like they did last night. The ball's going to swing around this pink ball. Braithwaite and Chanderpaul are going to be tested. Mitchell Starc's got, he's got three slips and a gully. Got a square leg, mid-on, mid-off. Here we go. First ball, Starc to Braithwaite, the captain of the West Indies. This one short and tucked around the corner from Braithwaite down to fine leg, and he'll get off the mark. A single for the West Indies. They've begun their account. They need 496 to win. 23 overs remain in the day's play. And this is going to be a very testing period for the West Indian openers. As an opener, you would not like to be batting in these conditions, especially facing Mitchell Starc with the pink ball. But, sorry, my mistake. Braithwaite not off the mark. It was a leg by first ball. And Chanderpaul will be on strike, the young opener. To Starc, who bowls this one full, squares him up, outside edge, through the cordon. The gap between third slip and gully, it races away for 4 runs. And young Tagnarine Chanderpaul, or Brandon, as he likes to be called, is off the mark. And got that pass, third slip and gully in the gap there, and 4 runs in the cordon. And that's down to third man for a boundary. So he's off the mark. First boundary for the West Indies in their innings. So a very promising start. But Australia definitely asking some questions. So Australia having attacking fielders, a lot of catches, slips, gully behind the wicket. That's Starc. Bowls to Chanderpaul. This one short. Play and a miss from Chanderpaul. Straight through to Carey, to the keeper for no run. West Indies number for 5, 497 is required for them for victory, which will be an unlikely victory if they are to achieve that. They will need to break their own record of 418 for 7 that they chased down in Antigua in 2003 against the Australians, which was a memorable test match. Certainly for the 4th innings of a test match. Definitely it was for the run chase. Starc to Chanderpaul. This one full, and Chanderpaul whips it off his pads for a square leg. And will be cut off for a couple. Travis Head does the fielding, and he'll cut it off for 2. John says runouts happen, even bad ones. No balls and hanging the washing out when you bat is a different story. Send a message. Promote Carey to 6 for a while. Jihad says this team is ranked number 8, but I still think there's plenty of talent in the squad. They just haven't worked out how to get wickets on flat wickets in Australia. there is potential. There is potential. Let's not forget that these players are talented from the West Indian team. It's just how to put that all together in a team performance is the main thing. Dot ball there from start, playing a miss from Chandigarh. A run. It's just how to put that all together in a complete performance. How do you, get the team playing, together well and get that cohesion and unity in the team. For the West Indies, it's just doing the basics. They haven't done the basics well with the bat or the ball in this series. And the commentators were talking a lot about that. Not doing the basics well, like running between the wickets, run-outs and confusion. And just got to get those things right. As Stark bowls, Chandigarh leaves it straight through to the keeper for no run. End of the over, it's none for 7. None for 7 after 1 for the West Indies. 497 is their target. Shannon says it's definitely not going to be easy for the West Indies. No, it's not. It's definitely going to be a challenge for them. Han says, if this was a red ball, I would back them to see out the session. Weird things happen with the pink ball at night. Yes, they do. Shannon says, I think Aussies will get 2 to 3 wickets. I think they'll probably get more than that. It's going to be Michael Nessa. Michael Nessa to bowl. Bowled pretty well last night. Got 2 wickets. We'll be hoping to add to that in the second innings. And the bowlers will be determined to get some early breakthroughs under the lights here at the Adelaide Oval. Australia definitely on the attack. 497 is unlikely from the West Indies point of view. Trying to bat out for 2 days to save the match is another story. Michael Nessa runs in, bowls to Braithwaite, traps him on the crease. And Michael Nessa falls down in his follow-through. But a good first ball, right on the money. Good start from Michael Nessa. Not Chandigarh, Braithwaite there on the crease. Let's have a look. This one coming back into Braithwaite, hit him on the thigh, hit him on the hip. And Michael Nessa slipped over there in his follow-through. The spikes didn't quite go into the turf, into the wicket. But good start from him. Very good start. Got to make sure that you land that first ball on the spot. Nessa in. And this one comes back into Braithwaite again. Try to cut that through point, but in the end, doesn't time it. Dot ball. So Nessa has started well here. Inside edge onto the back leg there from Braithwaite. Arn says it was minus 3 degrees last night, but now it is a tropical 0 degrees. Who wouldn't want to stand around in that for 7 hours? Well, not me, that's for sure. Very cold. Nessa in to Braithwaite. This one full, and Braithwaite defends to mid-on. And there is no run. So for the West Indian openers, they have to bat out 22 overs. If Australia can take a couple of wickets, maybe 3 tonight, they'll be delighted with that. As the lights take effect at the Adelaide Oval, shining down on the players. Wonderful sight here at the Adelaide Oval, with the sun setting in the distance. Just about past 8:30 local time. Nessa in again to Braithwaite. This one inside edge onto the pads again for a dot ball. Michael Nessa has started well in this first over. Jihan says, do you think Tag Chandigarh hangs on the back foot too much, similar to his father? Well, he does play a lot of pull and hook shots, young Chandigarh. So he's definitely on the back foot there, playing those shots. As Nessa bowls to Braithwaite. This one traps him on the crease, on the pads, an appeal for LBW. Rod Tucker shakes his head and says not out. Australia don't review it. Maybe an inside edge. Braithwaite survives, but he is being tested from Michael Nessa in this over. Let's have a look at this one. This one just, going down leg, that one. Way going down the leg side. Chandigarh, well, he definitely camps on the back foot. He's definitely a compulsive puller and hooker of the ball, as we saw in this test series thus far. As Nessa bowls to Braithwaite, he drives at this one, playing a miss. Straight through to the keeper for a dot ball. It's the end of the over. It's none for 7. It's a maiden. Michael Nessa has started well. Good to see him back into the test side. Got his call up because of Josh Hazelwood getting that injury to his side. Dr. Jihan, yes, it was. And we're around about 30 degrees today, 33, 34. So around about this time of year in Adelaide, it does get hot. Very hot today. Certainly for the players, they'll be delighted that they're playing under the lights and getting that cool breeze. They'll be delighted with that. But certainly earlier in the day, it was quite hot. Mitchell Starc to continue to Chanderpaul. Outside edge, taken, no, came off the pad. Well, with the way that Chanderpaul plays, the way he plays at the ball, he sort of brings the bat inside the line of the ball. So it looks like he's nicked it, but he didn't. It came off his back leg. Didn't carry to David Warner at first slip. For a moment there, I thought that got the outside edge. But the way that Chanderpaul leaves the ball, drags the bat inside the line of the ball, it looks like he's going to nick it, or he has nicked it, but he hasn't. He survives. Mitchell Starc asking questions early. He's in again, Starc to Chanderpaul. This one again, play and a miss, potentially, from Chanderpaul, straight through to the keeper for no run. It's just a very weird way of him leaving the ball by dragging the bat inside the line of the ball. It's quite unusual. You don't see many batters do that. You're taught to leave the ball and get the bat out of the way. You don't really want to bring the bat inside the line of the ball, just in case it will move back off the seam and you'll catch the outside edge. But with Chanderpaul, that's how he leaves the ball. Very unusual. But obviously his technique and the way he bats is similar to his father, Shiv. As Starc again to Chanderpaul. This one defended to point from Chanderpaul for no run. Shannon says, at least Travis Head and Marnus Labuschagne made 100 in the game of cricket. They did 2 very good hundreds from Travis Head and Marnus Labuschagne. Pretty much set up Australia in this test match, really, when you come to think of it. Han says, it is 32 degrees here if I use Fahrenheit. Well, that's what it was like today here, Han. Around about 32, 33, 34. So the West Indies none for 7. Starc to Chanderpaul again. Left arm over the wicket to the left-hander. Chanderpaul drives him off the back foot through backward point for a boundary. We've seen this from young Chanderpaul throughout the 2 test matches in his short career. He's not going to die wondering. He's going to take it on. And that was a very good shot. Nicely glided through the backward point region for 4 runs. Young Chanderpaul, he's going to be a very good player for the West Indies. Very promising player. And I think for him and for the West Indies, I think they found a good opening partnership with him and Braithwaite. Steve Smith applauding that, even though it went to the boundary, but that's what Australia want him to do. So 2 balls left of Mitchell Starc's second over. He's in again to Chanderpaul. This one short. Chanderpaul sways out of the way. Lets it go to the keeper for no run. Dr. Jihan said, I thought he played the short pitch stuff well. Takes on the poor shot. Got away with 1 top edge. Yes, he did. But it looks more like a strength to me. It certainly does. You know, he can definitely play the shot. He's not afraid to go back on the back foot and pull and hook. As we've seen throughout this innings, 1 missed time shot, which was a top edge yesterday. But no doubt Australia will probably go to that plan tonight. As we saw from Mitchell Starc, the last ball was a short ball. So let's see. As Starc into Chanderpaul. This one defended on the front foot for no runs. The end of the over, it's none for 11. West Indies have started okay. And for 11 after 3. 497 required for the West Indies to win. Unlikely victory. But I think for the West Indies, it's more about trying to bat for time. But what have we got this session today? We got 3 on day 4, 3 on day 5, 6 sessions remaining after this. Plenty of time for Australia to force a result in this test match. As we saw from the West Indian batting this afternoon, it's an indication that if they lose a few early wickets like they did last night under lights, it's going to be a long innings for the West Indian batters. Nessa into Braithwaite. This one hits him on the glove. And there is no run. Michael Nessa asking some questions early. It's probably going to be a bit of a bowl-off between Nessa and Nessa and Boland. Because it looks unlikely that Josh Hazlewood will play the first test against South Africa. So Australia will have to choose either Boland or Nessa. Many people have said Boland should get the go-ahead, being the incumbent. That's Nessa to Braithwaite. Braithwaite drives to Labuschagne at mid-off for no run. Craig Braithwaite scored a wonderful century in Perth, but the West Indian skipper will be under pressure here in this second innings, trying to save his team from defeat. It's unlikely, but you never know. Weirder things have happened in the game of cricket over the years. West Indies need 486 runs to win. Australia need 10 wickets to win. And that's very simple. Nessa to Braithwaite. This one full, and Nessa concedes his first runs of the second innings. Braithwaite chips it down basically pushes it down the ground for a couple of runs. And he's off the mark for the first time in this innings. He's off the mark with three runs there for the West Indies. 20 overs remain after this over in the day's play. We could play on for a little bit, seeing that the overs have to be bowled in a certain amount of time. But Australia, they'll be happy if they can take 1 wicket tonight, maybe 2, 3 maximum, I think. And I think 3 is the goal. If they can do that, I think they'll get a bit of a head start going into tomorrow. 3 slips and a gully and a backward point. And a mid-on, mid-off, and a square leg. Nessa into Chanapal, pushes this through the covers for a quick single. Good strike rotation from young Chanapal. Dr. Jihan says most of the West Indian batsmen take on the short ball well. The only one I remember struggling was Ramesh Sharwan. He used to hook the ball up in the air and get caught. Yes, Sarwan. Yes, he's a familiar name, obviously, Ramesh Sarwan. Can't remember when he retired from Test cricket, but it's a long time ago now. Was a part of the West Indian team that won that famous Test, chased down 418 in Antigua, 2003. Michael Nessa bowls another dot ball to Braithwaite, who defends. The Adelaide Oval under lights. The West Indies hoping to get through tonight and carry on tomorrow. But it's going to be Braithwaite and Chanapal to do most of the work. Nessa in again.
Sorry, I missed that. Could you say it again, please?
That's the end of the over. It's none for 15 after 4 overs.
I seem to be having trouble hearing you. Sorry about that.
Do apologise, everyone. My phone's just going off out of the blue. Siri's got a mind of its own. Sorry about that. So, West Indies under 15 after 4. Shannon says, I can't wait for the BBL to start. Yes, the BBL starts in 3 days' time on Tuesday. And I think it's the first game's the Thunder up against the Melbourne Stars, I think, from Canberra. And throughout the BBL, we're going to be live streaming watch along as well for the BBL. Not all the games, but some of the games, as Mitchell Starc continues. To Chanapal. Chanapal glides this to backward point for no run. Mitchell Starc did pretty well in the first innings, got a wicket, and he also got a run out, and that was Chanderpaul, and that pretty much started the batting collapse from the West Indian point of view today, where young Chanderpaul went halfway down the pitch and ran himself out. He was batting well. He's got an opportunity here to make amends for that first innings mistake. A bit of confusion there with the running, but he'll be hoping to rectify that in this second innings. Stark to Chanderpaul. This one down the leg side. Chanderpaul nearly caught up with it. Straight through to the keeper and Carey for no run. Top ball. Mitchell Stark, pretty good record with the pink ball. He'll be hoping for more wickets here. So Australia on the attack. Stark in again to Chanderpaul. This one straight through him. Playing a miss. Didn't go searching for a Chanderpaul. Straight through the keeper for no run. Mitchell Stark getting some movement with this new ball, as you would under lights here in Adelaide. Alex Carey. Good take there. West Indies. Who's going to be the one to stand up for the West Indies? Who's going to be the one to bat for a very long time? You would think it's Braithwaite and Chanderpaul, but they have to see off this opening spell from the Australian bowlers. Stark to Chanderpaul. Edges this to Cameron Green in the gully. Dot ball for Chanderpaul. He survives. Interesting to see how the West Indies will go in terms of the running between the wickets. Certainly a very poor thing they did in the first innings. The running between the wickets was very poor. They'll be hoping to rectify that here. Mitchell Stark to Chanderpaul again. Mitchell Stark hoping to get the breakthrough for Australia. He's in. This one's short. Chanderpaul sways out of the way, ducks, and sways out of the way. Lets it through to the keeper for no run. Dr. Jihan says, Sarwan was a potential great that could have been politics ruin his career. West Indies' best ODI batsman in the 2000s. He was a very handy player, Ramesh Sarwan. And I guess that's the problem in the West Indies, politics and all difficult stuff off the field. Hopefully they can get that sorted out, and hopefully the West Indies can get back to some sort of their best. Stark in, last ball to Chanderpaul. This one passes outside edge again, straight through the keeper for no run. Good over from Stark. It's maiden. It's none for 15 after 4. After 5, sorry. Han says, imagine if West Indies suddenly channel their inner Jeffrey boycott and bat out 2 days. Well, someone's got to do that. Most likely Braithwaite and Chanderpaul, Han. They batted well in Perth. They batted well in both innings in Perth. The first innings here, they batted okay up until Braithwaite got out by Michael Nessa yesterday in that last session. So Scott Boland is going to come into the attack. Scott Boland took 6 for 7 at the MCG. Had to wait until this test match to have another crack, and came into the side to replace Pat Cummins, who you would think Pat Cummins will return for the first test against South Africa. And Scott Boland. Here we go. First over from Scott Boland. He bowls to Braithwaite. Playing him outside edge. Gone. Yes, he's gone. He's gone. Scott Boland. Scott Boland breaks through. It's great to see Scott Boland back into the wickets. He took 6 for 7 against England at the MCG in the Ashes last year. He's got his first wicket. Scott Boland, outside edge, Braithwaite. And a good catch from Alex Carey. That's how he got out in the first innings to Michael Nessa. Braithwaite, outside edge, straight to Carey. That was off Michael Nessa in the first innings. But the second innings, the exact carbon copy of the dismissal from the first innings. He's got to go outside edge from Braithwaite, straight to Carey, who takes a good catch. And Scott Boland, the hero from the Ashes last year, takes a wicket. And the crowd roar in Adelaide. Good to see Scott Boland take his first wicket in the Test match. Didn't take a wicket in the first innings. He'll be delighted to take the first wicket here in the second innings. Perfect delivery, good line, good length. He made Braithwaite play, got the outside edge. Alex Carey did the rest and finished off the business. As Jihan says, Boland, and as Mark Howard said in that call, build the man a statue. It was unbelievable. That was some brilliant bowling in that Ashes Test match in Melbourne. Yes, the pitch had a lot of grass on it, but every ball he bowled looked like he was going to take a wicket. 6 for 7. His bowling average was 9.5 coming into this Test match. Shamar Brooks is the new batter. Big job for him. West Indies under the pump. They've lost their first. The captain's gone. And Boland in again to Brooks. Oh, right on the money. Brooks defends on the front foot for no run. Scott Boland, first wicket for Scott Boland. Perfect delivery. Having a look at the replay again. Wonderful delivery from Scott Boland. Back of the length. Braithwaite was squared up. Got the outside edge. Alex Carey's kept well in this Test match. Yep. Snicko saying that was definitely an edge. There was a spike. Alex Carey took a very comfortable catch. Craig Braithwaite, that's how he got out in the first innings to Michael Nessa. Exactly the same as he got out then to Scott Boland. Boland in, trapped him on the pad. He's gone, he's gone, he's gone. He's gone, he's got 2, Boland. LBW Brooks, he's gone. Rod Tucker raised the finger of doom. The West Indies are 2 for 15. He's walking off, he's not reviewing it. Oh, this could end tonight. I wouldn't put it past Australia to finish us off tonight, but that was a brilliant delivery from Boland. Trapped him in front. Oh, yeah, that's plum. Yeah, he's gone. No hesitation from Rod Tucker to give him out. Scott Boland, first over. He's got 2 wickets. Shamar Brooks has gone for a duck. The West Indies are now in deep trouble. They've lost 2 wickets now. Shamar Brooks on his way for a duck. West Indies, 2 for not many. Let's have a look at the LBW. Oh, yeah, that was hitting the leg stump. No doubt about that. And that was absolutely plum. Scott Boland, that one just came back, trapped Brooks on the crease. And he's got to go. He knew straight away. As soon as it hit him on the pad, he knew, yep, I'm not reviewing that. I'm gone. And Australia have struck 2 early wickets from Scott Boland. The bowler who came into the Ashes last year and bowled superbly has done the job in his 3rd Test match. He's picked up a couple of wickets in his first over. It's been good bowling from Scott Boland. Jermaine Blackwood is the new batter. Got out to Nathan Lyon, caught and bowled in the first innings. It was a very ordinary dismissal from him. And he comes in, the vice-captain at number 4. The West Indies are in trouble. They need their number 4 to stand up with the young Tagnarayan Chandapur. Well, in the words of Bill Laurie, it's all happening here at the Adelaide Oval, and it certainly is. Scott Boland, 2 for none in his first over. And Australia can smell a victory. The West Indies in trouble, 2 for 15. Here we go, Boland to Blackwood. Oh, good delivery again. Blackwood defends to cover for no run. Scott Boland, 2 wickets, 2 dot balls. There's 2 balls left in the over. Can he pick up another one? I think he can. Perfect bowling from Scott Boland. That's what he does. He just bowls a good area on the pitch, hits the spot, consistent. He's not quick, but he's definitely got a lot of skills with the ball. And perfect replacement for Pat Cummins into this Test match. And no doubt he'll be loving this, Scott Boland. Back in the wickets again. Long time since he played his last test. Boland in. Ooh. An outside edge from Blackwood. Didn't quite carry to Cameron Green in the gully. Not convincing from Blackwood. Just probing Scott Boland. Cameron Green, he's had a tough test match, but he's got a wicket, and he would have had a catch there, but he did well to get to that ball. Didn't quite carry to him in the gully. So here we go. Last ball of the over. Scott Boland's got 2 for none. Last ball of his first over. To Blackwood again. This one full outside edge. Taken in the gully. He's got another one. Scott Boland's got 3 in the over. Blackwood's gone for a duck. The West Indies are 3 for 15. Oh, this is going to finish tonight. Blackwood's gone for a duck. I think the West Indies are going to have a batting collapse. They're 3 for 15. Scott Boland. Outside edge. Blackwood hit it straight to Cameron Green in the gully. And Scott Boland, 3 for none. He's doing it again. He's going to get 6 for 7 again, Scott Boland. This is unbelievable bowling from Scott Boland. Build the man a statue outside Adelaide Oval, eh? The Sacker. They should really build a statue outside the Adelaide Oval for Scott Boland now. He's got 3 for none. It's the end of the over. It's 3 for 15. The West Indies are in all sorts. After 6 overs, they're 3 for 15. It's all happening here at the Adelaide Oval, as Bill Laurie would say. And Scott Boland, he's doing it again. 6 for 7 at the MCG against England last year in the Ashes. 3 for none in his first over. He's a very good bowler, Scott Boland. And as Gian says, build him a statue. Absolutely. I think they should build a statue outside the Adelaide Oval for Scott Boland. 3 for none from 1 over. It's a triple maiden over. I don't think we've called that many times in the game of cricket. A triple maiden wicket over. Unreal. And Scott Boland getting a round of applause down there at fine leg. The crowd enjoying that. Jihan says, geez, what a catch. Certainly was. It was a brilliant catch from Cameron Green in the gully. Mitchell Starc continues to Chanderpaul, who's on 11. He whips it off his pads down to fine leg. Scott Boland gets a round of applause. He fields the ball. They come through for a single. Ooh, ouch. The West Indies, 3 for 16. It's not a good start. I sense there's going to be a batting collapse here. Oh, Scott Boland got rid of Braithwaite. Outside edge, caught by Carey. Then he trapped Brooks. Plum in front, LBW. The third wicket, Blackwood. Outside edge. He tried to work it onto the leg side. Got caught by Green in the gully. And Scott Boland has done it again for Australia. The West Indies are in all sorts. There's 17 overs left in the day's play. The West Indies may not survive 17 overs at this stage. They're 3 for 16. Starc in to the new batter in Thomas on debut. Does well, plays it out to mid-off for no run. Shadden says Brooks out for a duck as well. Yes. Hahn says some brilliant batting by England in that match too. Well, it wasn't. They batted very poorly in that Ashes match, England at the MCG. But what a spell from Scott Boland. First over, 3 for none. It's crazy. Good catch from Cameron Green. He's always a good catcher there in the gully. So Mitchell Starc, left arm over the wicket to the right-hander, debutant in Thomas, who's yet to get off the mark. He bowls. This one left outside off stump from Thomas for no run. Dr. Jihan's saying about the Pakistan spinner on debut, Abbar, has his 9th wicket. Does he? Well, I did see that he picked up 7 wickets. I didn't watch the match, the first day's play yesterday for England and Pakistan, but I did see that the debutant you speak of, Jihan, picked up 7 wickets. Unbelievable. I think he bowled a lot of googlies and wrongans, and England just couldn't pick him. But very good to see him doing well in his first test, and that second test in Multan, crazier than the first test. As Starc bowls to Thomas again, who leaves outside off stump for no run. Dr. Jihan says, England know they may as well score as many runs as they can before they get out to the mystery spin, and they know Pakistan can't last against their bowling. Yes, Pakistan, definitely a big challenge for them in that test match. Hans says, Gay must have had a pep talk with the Windies batsman today. Probably did. Hans says, I'm going to build a statue of the old guy who looked like Don Bradman that I saw last week. Hans says, will Boland be in the Ashes squad? Maybe. He could. I think he'll do well in England, I think, on those pitches. Yet again, Thomas leaves outside the off stump. No run. Mitchell Starc probing outside that off stump, looking to swing the ball back from the over-the-wicket angle with the left arm. That one just pitching on off stump and going back down the line. Good leave from Thomas in the end to leave that, went over the stumps. Ooh, not far away from the stumps there. So good leave in the end. But going back to your question, Han, I think probably I think he would. Definitely he should be considered. I think Michael Nesser as well. I think they'll do very well over there in England in those conditions. As Starc finishes his last over, playing a miss from Thomas. Nearly another outside edge for Australia to take. It's a play and a miss. It's the end of the over, 3 for 16 after 7. The West Indies are in all sorts here at the Adelaide Oval. And as the great Bill Laurie would say, it's all happening here at the Adelaide Oval, and it certainly is. Scott Boland, he just hits that right spot on the pitch. And look at that. Just looking at the replay of his last over where he got the 3 wickets. Very good spot, good line, good length, making the batters play. And that's what you want to do as a bowler in Test cricket, make the batters play. And that's what he did in that over. Hans says Australia have taken 13 wickets. West Indies took 13 wickets. Well, yes, definitely in this Test match, the West Indies have struggled in this series to bowl Australia out. They still haven't done it. So some problems here for the West Indies that they've got to find ways of taking 20 wickets here in Australia. Scott Boland back, 3 for none from his first over. He's opened this Test match right open. Dot ball from Chanderpaul, defends with no run. Chanderpaul's been at the other end. He's seen a lot of his fellow teammates get out. Not a good sign for the West Indies. I think this Test match could finish tomorrow. Judging by the way the West Indies have batted, it's been a long tour. They look tired, fatigue. I think they just want to, wrap up this Test match and go back to back home and look to relax as Boland passes the outside edge of Chanderpaul's bat. In the end, no damage done, and it's a dot ball. Dr. Jihan says maybe Boland could be effective on those roads in India. It could be. The way he bowls with the accuracy and the type of bowler he is, I think he could do well there, especially if he gets a bit of a reverse swing as well. I think he'll be in the squad, no doubt about that. He was in the squad for Pakistan and Sri Lanka, Scott Boland. So I think Australia will take him again to India, and he's a very good bowler, gets the job done, as we've seen here tonight. Boland to Chanderpaul. Chanderpaul defends to mid-wicket for no run. And he's got to do the job here, Chanderpaul. He's really got to anchor the innings now. West Indies under pressure, 3 for 16 is not a great start to the second innings for them. Scott Boland, the main destroyer, 3 for none. Well, I think for Scott Boland, he'll be delighted that his bowling average is dropping back down to 9.5. I think it went over 10 in this Test match, but I do remember who's got the record for the best bowling average in Test cricket. It's in the teens. I think it's S.F. Barnes from England. Bowling in to Chanderpaul, who glides this pass backward point for 4 runs. And that's a much-needed boundary for the West Indies to relieve the pressure. But Australia still in the ascendancy. West Indies in trouble. But this young man here, Tagnarayan Chanderpaul, I think the West Indies have really found an opener here. And he's going to have a good career. If he can have the career like his father had, I think he'll be a very good player for the West Indies. But do it in your own way. And I think it's very harsh to compare him to his father. But, Definitely got the same mannerisms as his old man. Leaves this one Chanterpole outside the off stump for no run. John says, go away for a few minutes to treat some sunburn. Come back to this. Missed it all. Well, it was all happening in that last over from Boland. 3 for none. And remarkable spell of bowling. Now 3 for 4, actually, because of that boundary from Chanterpole. It's hurt the figures a bit, but 3 for 4 is not bad. Almost like 6 for 7 last year in the Ashes. Hahn says, I think the MCG pitch is similar to the Oval and Lords, so Boland would have a field day there. Yeah, he could. And Boland in to Chanterpole, works it around the corner to square leg for a single. He's on 17. And that he will retain the strike at the end of the over. End of the over, it is 3 for 21 after 8. The West Indies are in all sorts here at the Adelaide Oval. Can Chanterpole see them until stumps tonight? Going to be a challenge for the young man, but he's going about it nicely. But can the rest of the batting group help him, support him? It's not going to be easy. Australia getting this ball to move and pose some challenging questions to the West Indian batsman. Scott Boland, very good over. Again, only 5 runs from it, but 3 for 5 is pretty good. Shannon says, I think Brooks gone out for a duck. Yes, he did. Brooks dismissed. LBW for a duck from Scott Boland. Mitchell Starc to continue. Australia have 3 slips and 2 gullies, I think. There. Starc to Chanterpole. This one down the leg side. Chanterpole nearly caught up with it. In the end, straight through to the keeper for no run. Jihan says that last Boland over was reminiscent of Glenn McGrath. Yes, it was. Some brilliant line and length bowling from Scott Boland. Hahn says there is a player who has a test bowling average of 10. Yes, there is. I think it's SF Barnes, I think, from England, the spinner. No, the fast bowler, sorry. Or the spinner. I have to search up the stats there. Mitchell Starc into Chanterpole, outside edge, dropped, I think. Khawaja, did he put it down? Did it carry? Not convincing from Tagnarine Chanterpole. Let's have a look. Did it get the outside edge? Oh, it did. Yeah, outside edge. Did it carry to Khawaja? Oh, no, I don't think it did. No, just didn't carry to Khawaja there in the gully there. He's sort of like there's 2 gullies here that Australia have, so he's like a second gully there. Didn't quite carry to him. Chanterpole survives. Starc in again to Chanterpole. This one on his pads down the leg side. There's an appeal for caught behind. Mitchell Starc asking the question to Kumar Amasina. Steve Smith asking if you want to review it. Was there a noise? No review there. Thank you for that, Hahn. Yes. As soon as you said that, Hahn, yes, it came back to my memory. Yes, George Lerman played for England. As you say there, Hahn, 18 tests, 112 wickets, best of 9 for 28, average of 10.75, and a comedy rate of 1 over. That's pretty good. But we've got to remember, he played back in the 1800s. Obviously, a lot of those averages came back in the 1800s, obviously, where the game was vastly different. But yes, he does have the record, and Sydney Barnes was the other player I was thinking about. His average, as you say, Hahn, is 16.43, which is still pretty good. Australia reviewing a caught behind decision. Whether or not it came off the face of Chanterpole's bat. Did he hit the ground? Hit his pad? Going through the process. John says, long way short. Hahn says, and at Aussie, Charlie Turner was 16.5. Yes, Charlie Turner, yes. His name does ring a bell. And I think Australia may have got Chanterpole here. He's walking. He's out. I think he's out. Caught behind. He is out. Another wicket has fallen for the West Indies. The young opening batter, Tagnarine Chanterpole, is gone. Caught behind. The West Indies lose their 4th wicket. I've got a bad feeling that this test match may finish tonight. The West Indies are 4 down. Not Shivran Chanderpaul. Tagnaran Chanderpaul, that came off the face of the bat, strangled down the leg side. Alex Carey takes a very good catch. And for Chanderpaul, unfortunately, he got it run out in the first innings, and now he's out in the second innings. He's gone for 17. West Indies have lost their 4th. But I think for Shivran, I've got to stop calling him Shivran Chanderpaul. Tag Chanderpaul, or Brandon Chanderpaul, as he likes to be called. He can be proud of his series. I think the West Indies have got someone for the future as an opening pair with Braithwaite. He showed some great determination and fight. He's got some good skills, good technique, like his father. I think he's going to go a long way, Tag. Unfortunately, that one catching the face of the bat straight through to the keeper and Carey. For a moment there, Australia thought it came off his pad or the bat hitting the ground, but unfortunately for the West Indies, it picked up the face of the bat straight through to Carey, and it's drinks at the Adelaide Oval. Jason Holder arrives, and he will join the debutant in Devon Thomas, who's out there in the middle. The West Indies, at drinks, have lost their 4th wicket. Not looking good for the West Indies. This test match could be over tomorrow afternoon. Dr. Jihan says, geez, he's been so unlucky. He has. He's played some good knocks in this innings, from Perth to Adelaide in the first innings. The second innings, he played some good shots up until he got out just before. But, as you say, Jihan, done his country proud, though. He's the future. Absolutely. He's 26, so he's got a lot of years ahead of him. It's taken him until this time to play cricket for the West Indies at test level. I think he's done his team proud, his father proud. I think his father would be proud of his efforts. He'll be disappointed to get out, of course, the way he did. But no, he's definitely a promising talent, young Tag. And hopefully we see him blossom and develop into a very good opening test batter for the West Indies, because they definitely have found an opening partnership with him and Braithwaite. And we saw that in Perth. But for the West Indies, by the way they're getting out tonight, it's just an indication of them being tired, fatigued. They've been in the field for a very long time here in Adelaide. Also in the first test in Perth, over 100 overs in both test matches in the field. They look tired, fatigued, and you can understand why the batters are getting out in this way. But the Australian bowlers are just pretty good, and they've asked the right questions. They're testing the batters. They're asking the right questions. They're bowling the right areas. And it's good to see Australia dominate. But, deep down inside, you want to see a contest and you want to see a bit more fight. But, for the West Indies, they will learn a lot from this tour and hopefully get better. But they are 4 down at drinks as Mitchell Starc looks to clean up the West Indian tail. Jason Holder's not a tail ender, but he'll be on strike. Lets this one go outside his off stump for no run. West Indies 4 for 21. Mitchell Starc got the breakthrough. Tagnaran Chanderpaul tried to work that down to find leg, got the face of the bat to the ball. Alex Carey went up for the caught behind. In the end, overturned on review. Kumar Messina said, yep, that's out. I've got to overturn my decision. Mitchell Starc was convinced. The Australians were convinced that they heard of noughts. And in the end, hotspot Snicko showed that the ball was edged or came off the face of the bat in this case. And Chanderpaul had to go. Holder in again. He will face Starc. On the back foot, defends for no run, Jason Holder. He batted very poorly in the first innings, Jason Holder. Early this morning, or this afternoon, I should say, just nicked the ball outside the off stump off, I believe it was Mitchell Starc in the end that he got out. That was early this afternoon when the West Indies were batting. So for the West Indies, their batting has been poor in this test match, and we haven't seen the fight or resilience or resistance as we saw in Perth last week. It's definitely slipped away in this test match. They're under the pump. Australia, just a matter of time before they wrap up this test match and finish off the series 2-0. Last ball of the over is left outside the off stump from Holder. It's a dot ball to finish. The West Indies are 4 for 21 after 9 overs. Australia well in control of this test match. The West Indies are in a spot of bother at the moment. We've got around about 15 overs left in the day's play. Australia can definitely pick up a couple of wickets to have them 6 down for 20 odd. I think that'll be a good result heading into tomorrow afternoon. We've got to remember that this is a day-night test. It's not a day test, obviously. But Mitchell Starc, good to see him taking another wicket. Shannon says another wicket. Yes, it was another wicket. Chanderpaul unlucky, strangled down the leg side, as we say, and they came off the face of the bat there. And unlucky, Chanderpaul. He's batted well in this series, and he'll be proud of his efforts, but disappointed to get out. Scott Boland, 3 for 5. Can he pick up 6 for 7 again? I think he can. He's already got 3 for 5. Here we go. He bowls to Thomas, who traps him on the crease. Thomas does well to defend it for no run. Hahn says he is made to look worse because of the trash he plays with. In the Aussie team, he wouldn't have the pressure and would have scored a lot more. It's just the contrast of the two different teams, isn't it? Australia definitely, a very good team in terms of their test cricket and how they go about things. The West Indies struggling to get that consistency and struggling to get results on the board as well. As Boland bowls to Thomas, this one defended, no run. But he should be proud of how he batted tagged Ryan Chanderpaul. He's really impressed everyone. So definitely a one for the future for the West Indies, that's for sure, in terms of his prospects in the test format. And it'll be interesting to see what the West Indies do after this series. Phil Simmons is not going to be the coach. He's stepping down after this test match. So it'll be interesting to see who they get in as the new coach. Boland to Thomas. This one defended again from Thomas for no run. Shannon says, ahead of day 4, get a few more wickets for Australia. And I think that's the plan. If they can get another couple of wickets here, we've got around about 15 overs, 14 overs left in the day's play. We'll bowl all of them because of the over rate, of course. We've got to get the overs in. So for the West Indies, I would not like to lose a couple of wickets here. But if you lose 1 wicket, as we've seen, you can lose 2 and 3 wickets pretty quickly, especially in the day-night test with the ball under lights, pink ball under lights. So as Boland continues to Thomas, playing a mess outside his outside edge, straight through the keeper, no run. Hahn says, side question here, but do you think Anderson will make it to 700 wickets or will he fall short? He'll get close, I think, Hahn. I think he'll get close. It depends how long he wants to play on for. I think he wants to play on for another year in England for the summer, obviously against Australia for the Ashes, of course. So probably he'll play on for another year. Then it's up to him whether or not he wants to retire. But I think that's the motivation for him now, Anderson. And same with Stuart Broad. It's about personal records and trying to chase down, records to be broken. He can definitely get close. So just a matter of time if he can or not. It depends how long he wants to play for. He'll definitely get close. Obviously, from an Australian point of view, I don't like to see Shane Warne getting, bumped down a spot to third place, obviously, because, you don't want to see that. But obviously records are meant to be broken. So he's got a good chance of doing it. It depends how long he wants to go on for, if he's motivated. That one's left outside the off stump from Thomas. Dot ball to finish. He's yet to get off the mark. Same with Jason Holder. It's the end of the over. It's a maiden. It's 4 for 21 after 10. West Indies in trouble. Under the pressure here at the Adelaide Oval. Hahn says he needs 27 as of now. Yeah, well, I thought he would have struggled in Pakistan, but he took 4 wickets in the last test match. And so to get to 700. So, yeah, he can definitely get close if he can stays fit, motivated. He looks determined. No doubt he'll probably play touching probably 190 test matches, I think. He may go past Sachin Tendulkar. You never know. He played 200 tests. You never know. So, yeah, but it's just phenomenal. At his age, 40 plus, and he's still going strong, fit, firing, bowling well. I see no problems why he can't beat Warney's record. As you say, Hahn needs 36 to overtake Warney. So, yeah, that's still a lot of wickets, but he can definitely do it, Anderson. He's capable. Michael Nessa back into the attack, replaces Mitchell Starc. First ball's a dot ball defended by Holder with no run. Australia have 5 slips and a gully. So there's plenty of catches behind the wicket. You say he basically needs 3 per match. If he plays 9 tests, it is a doddle. Yeah, basically he can pick up 3 wickets every match. He can. As you say, to reach 700, I mean, yeah, you can definitely get close. Or get past it, of course. Nessa in again to Holder. Leaves it outside the off stump for no run. And the West Indies under tremendous pressure. And it just sums up the way they've batted in this series. It just sums up where the West Indies need to work on with their batting and bowling. As we saw in this series, by far, Australia, the very dominant team, of course. But the West Indies can take a leaf out of Australia's book and look at Australia in terms of how they go about it with their batting and bowling. Michael Nesta again to Holder. This one, outside edge. Did it carry? No. Just short of Marnus Labuschagne at 5th slip. Nearly carried. Michael Nesta asking questions. But Jason Holder, and for the West Indies, he survives. Didn't carry there. Hans Broad is 30 away or so from 600. Yeah, well, I think for Stuart Broad, it'll be harder for him to get to 700. But he'll definitely get 600 plus probably. Go past Kumble maybe. Obviously, he's not playing in this series. But, yeah, definitely 2 very good bowlers. They can definitely get those milestones. Jason Holder works this through square leg for a couple of runs. And he's off the mark for the first time in this innings. He's off the mark. 7th delivery took him to get off the mark. John says, can't beat longevity. Anderson could go past Murali if he hangs around long enough. I don't think anyone could be beating Murali's record. 800 wickets sounds a little bit too far, but you never know. Murali had a controversial career, as we know, of course, but 800 wickets is quite a lot. Nessa traps Holder on the pads, playing it in the end. It's a dot ball. Hans says Anderson's average has gotten better over time too, which is the opposite of what you would expect. Yes, his average is pretty good. Is it in the 20s? I think it is mid-20s. 600 wickets, mid-20s for average is pretty good. And obviously stats tell half the story, of course, as Nessa continues. He bowls to Holder. Outside edge, didn't carry to Labuschagne again at 5th slip. End of the over. It's 4 for 23 for the West Indies after 11. 4 for 23 after 11. West Indies in difficult waters here. They've got to try and bat out these overs. There's 13 overs remaining in the day's play. Can they survive 13 overs without losing a couple of more wickets? So I think Australia will be pushing for a couple here to get them 6 down heading into tomorrow afternoon. Hahn says, for a fast bowler to reach 700 would be remarkable. He averages 26.14. Yeah, it's a pretty good record. As Boland continues to Thomas, works it out to point Thomas, and he's off the mark. Gets off the mark with a single. Devon Thomas. It's definitely going to be a remarkable achievement if you could achieve that, but let alone to reach 600 wickets as a fast bowler is pretty good as well. And only 3 spinners have done that. You expect that from spin bowlers and Murali, Warren, and obviously Kumble, but from James Anderson, a fast bowler, or fast medium bowler, it's a pretty good effort. Hans says 26.14, factoring in he is a medium pacer who has to play in Australia. Yeah. Well, he doesn't have a good record in Australia, James Anderson. But he certainly he took a fifer in one Ashes series. I think that was in 2017-18 at the Adelaide Oval. He took a 5-wicket haul on that day-night test. A single there from Thomas. Oh, sorry, from Jason Holder there. Gets a single. West Indies 4 for 25. John says, anything over 400 wickets for a quick is remarkable. Yeah, it is. Longevity, of course. There have been many fast bowlers who've taken over 400, 500 wickets. Obviously, Walsh, Ambrose, Akram, McGrath. Dot ball there from Thomas to mid-wicket. Hans says he doesn't take wickets in Australia, but he doesn't get smacked around either. No, he doesn't. He's quite economical, James Anderson. And that's the problem that England have, really, when they come to Australia. They lack the pace. And it's sort of like the West Indies here, just lacking that someone with the extra speed through the air. You need that bit of pace. They've got Azari Joseph who can bowl over 140 clicks, but the other bowlers, they don't have that speed. Boland, Thomas defends on the front foot, Thomas for no run. West Indies need to bat out 12 overs to not lose another couple of wickets. Well, I think this test match may finish tonight. Well, probably finish tomorrow, I think. But I think Australia will take another couple of wickets tonight, probably have them 6 down for 25, maybe 7. If they can pick up another 3 wickets here before the end of play, I think that's achievable. By the way they're bowling, I think they're going to do it. Boland in. This one short on the pads of Holder. Works it around the corner for a single. Down to fine leg. Hans says, sorry, I've already read their question. That comment. Pat Cummins signing some autographs, and he'll be looking to play in the first test against South Africa, which will be next week. Looking forward to that. Always a good series against the South African team, especially here in Australia. Australia will be hoping to win the series. They haven't won a series against South Africa for a while. Last ball, the over from Boland. It's a dot ball. Thomas defends to the leg side to mid-wicket for a dot. It's the end of the over. It's 4 for 26. Han says, if they got another 4 or 5 wickets, would time be extended? So, yes, it would Han. If Australia got the West Indies 9 down, the umpires come together and say, is a result possible this evening? And the umpires would say, okay, they're 9 down. Australia have a chance to bowl the West Indies out to force a result. Then play will be extended for another 30 minutes. As we saw this afternoon with the first session, the West Indies were 9 down and the dinner break wasn't taken at its usual time. And the umpires said to the West Indian batters and Steve Smith, we're going to play on for another 30 minutes because the West Indies are 9 down, so you can bowl them out. So if that's the case tonight, then yes, they'll take the 30 minutes and they'll force a result tonight if they're 9 down. If Australia take these wickets quickly, which you wouldn't put it past the Australian bowlers, because judging by the way the West Indies have been batting in this second innings, they look a bit nervous and a bit shaky. So you wouldn't put it past Australia to wrap it up tonight. Nessa in. Holder pushes this to point for no run. So that will be the case if the umpires decide, well, a result's possible. So, we'll play on for another 30 minutes. And if Australia don't take the wicket after that, then it'll be stumps, as we saw this afternoon when the West Indies were 9 down in their first innings. And Australia needed one more wicket before the lunch break or the dinner break, in this case for the day-night test. Certainly it has to be 9 down for, lunch or tea, John. But if the umpires feel like a result's possible tonight, let's say the West Indies are 8 down or 7 down, they can come together and say, okay, 3 more wickets to get. Do we need to come back tomorrow? Probably not. Australia could take the 3 wickets tonight. So it's up to the umpire's discretion, basically. But when it's for a lunch or tea break, if they're 9 down, then play can be extended for 30 minutes. And that's what we saw this afternoon when the West Indies were 9 down in their first innings. Play went on for another 30 minutes before the dinner break, and then Australia were able to take the last wicket and wrap up the first innings for the West Indies. Play and a miss from Thomas. Dot ball from Nessa. Hahn says Abbar got his 10th wicket. Duckett didn't get his 100, out for 79. Well, crazy test match there in the second test in Multan. Well, I haven't seen much of the test match, to be honest, because I've been watching the test match against Australia, of course, and the West Indies. But looking at the scores there, geez, a very crazy test match in the second test between Pakistan and England. Thomas leaves outside the off stump for no run. West Indies just looking to survive. Looking to survive and looking to bat out the 11 overs remaining in the day's play. But definitely Australia could finish this up tonight as a possibility. Definitely a brilliant start. 4 for 26 is a good start. I think Australia would like to finish this off as quick as possible tomorrow and get a few days off heading into the South Africa series, which begins this time next week. Up there in Brisbane for the first test. Nessa in last ball of the over. Thomas pushes this to the covers. He'll pick up a single. No, sorry, it's a dot ball in the end. It's a maiden from Nessa. It's 4 for 26. All for 26. West Indies in disarray. In a bit of trouble. What can they do here? Hahn says, talk about Abbar getting 10 wickets shows how incredible Laker taking 19 was. Yes. Yes, it just shows how good Jim Laker was. 1956, Old Trafford. Bowled Australia out, both innings, got 19 for the match. And took all 10 wickets, which was in one innings, which was pretty good. Nathan Lyon's going to come into the attack. Bit of spin for Australia. Nathan Lyon bowled well. Took 3 wickets in the first innings. A bit of turn and grip. This Adelaide Oval surface is a bit drier than in previous years here for the day-night test. But speaking about Jim Laker, obviously Nathan Lyon, brilliant off-spinner. Got 450 test wickets now. Joins Shane Warne and Glenn McGrath to do that for Australia. As the only bowlers to do that in the history of test cricket for Australia. But Jim Laker, the story about him was, I believe after he took his 10 wickets or his 19 wickets of the match was over. He, went to the pub and he had a sandwich and a beer. And many people didn't know he was actually there after he took his 19 wickets. He just had a sandwich and a beer and no one knew it was him at Old Trafford. He just sat there having his lunch or something. A funny story. I read it in a book once that I have here about certain players in the game. Jim Laker is one of them in the book. Tells that story. Imagine that. You just took 19 wickets and all you do is have a beer and have a sandwich after it. You don't really celebrate. Low-key celebration from Jim Laker there. But, yep, pretty remarkable feat to take 19 wickets in a test. Especially 10 in one innings is remarkable. And certainly not a test match for Australia to remember. Hahn says, Dom Bess would love 19 and 100 test. John says, Lyon, highest wicket taker at Adelaide Oval for Australia. Yes, he is. Overtook Shane Warne's record of 56. Nathan Lyon picked up 3, so he's up to 59. And hopefully he can add to that. He'll probably add a few in this second innings here because Australia are going along nicely. 6 wickets for Australia to win. West Indies, you can forget about the 497. They're not going to chase that down. It's all about trying to bat out 2 days. And that's not going to be easy now. Lyon in, first ball of his new over. appeal for LBW. Nathan Lyon saying that it's probably going to miss the stumps. In the end, it's a dot ball. Good start from Lyon, right on the money. Bowling that line outside off stump, trying to spin the ball back into the right-hander. Nathan Lyon just saying that was just going down leg like that. And it probably was. Line in again. Hold up. Works it off his pads, but it falls short of the two catches on the leg side. The bat pad, the short leg, and the leg slip is quite fine. Or a leg gully. Line in to Holder. This one turns back through the gate, playing a mess. And there's no run. Well, the West Indian batters, they really got to take the attack to Nathan Lyon. They can't just sit on the front foot or play off the back foot. They really got to use their feet. They really got to put him under pressure. Line in to Holder. Defends on the front foot. There's no run. Hahn says, will Lyon always be looked down upon because of how great Warne was? Probably, I think. Two different bowlers. One's a leg spinner, one's an off spinner. So two different bowlers, two different ways of going about it as Holder sweeps to backward square leg for a dot. Yeah, you could say that. Most people say, oh, Warne was better. Of course, people will say that. But other people say Nathan Lyon was good as well. Yeah, maybe. I haven't really thought about that, but it's very hard to compare yourself to Shane Warne, obviously. That's the end of the over. Maiden from Nathan Lyon. Good over from him. It's 4 for 26. But Nathan Lyon, definitely a very good off spinner. For someone who doesn't have many tricks in his arsenal in terms of bowling, different deliveries in that, he just bowls a stock off spinner. He's done pretty well just doing that, bowling his off spinner every ball. His best ball. So where Shane Warne, leg spinner, different tricks. He had the flipper, the wrong'un, the googly, all that stuff. And Shane Warne was just a different bowler to everyone else. But definitely in terms of spinners, I think most people will say Nathan Lyon's right up there with the best spinners that we had for Australia. He's up there with Shane Warne. He's up there with Richie Benaud. He's up there with Clary Grimmett. He played for South Australia and Australia back in the early days in the 20s and 30s. And took over 200 test wickets. So we'll definitely be compared amongst the other great spinners that Australia's had. But head-to-head with Warne, I think most people say Shane Warne over Lyon just because it's Warning and what he did. Michael Nessa, dot ball to begin his new over. West Indies looking to survive at this stage. Nessa in, this one full. Thomas drives to mid-off for no run. John says, who looks down on Lyon? Hahn says, Warne is Australia's greatest ever bowler, so every spinner will always be in his shadow. Yeah, absolutely. Every spinner that Australia have, that came after Shane Warne, especially like Nathan Lyon, of course they'll be in the shadow of him. Because he was just a great bowler, he was. Nessa in again, this one full, driven back from Thomas to Nessa. Rolls on to the stumps, but I don't think Nessa got a hand to it, so no damage done for the West Indies. Still 4 for 26. Yep, got the bat back down in time there, Jason Holder, so no damage done of him being run out. Michael Nessa didn't touch the ball at all. Nessa into Thomas, works this behind square, down to fine leg for a single. He moves on to 2. 9 overs remaining for the West Indies to try and bat out Day, not lose a couple of more wickets. Hahn says, who would you say was better, Lyon or Swan? Two very good bowlers. I would say Nathan Lyon. Obviously, I'm a bit biased, of course, because obviously Australia, but two very good bowlers. I think Nathan Lyon, just, his longevity, the way he doesn't have too many tricks. He just bowls a standard off spinner. He uses his pace and his flight to try and get that drift as well. So, whereas Graham Swan, he had some tricks as well, but I think Nathan Lyon. I think I'll go with Lyon over Swan. Depends who you support. If you ask that to an English supporter, they will say Graham Swan, maybe. You're asking an Australian supporter, so of course I'm going to say Nathan Lyon. But it's just a personal preference. But I think Lyon, just because of his record and, all of those wickets that he's taken are in Australia. And Australia's a very hard place to bowl finger spin, given how flat the pitches are. So to take 200 test wickets in Australia and 200 away is a pretty good effort. But I'll say Nathan Lyon, just because it's Nathan Lyon from Australia. So that depends who you ask, Han. Depends who you support. Depends who you think was your personal preference. But I'm always going to say Nathan Lyon, just because, bowling in Australia, taking wickets on these pitches as a finger spinner is a very good record, really. And as you say here, Swan's average is 29 lines to 31. Yeah, a lot of people will criticize Nathan Lyon with his average, but look, the guy's got 400 test wickets. He's got 450 test wickets. Of course, the average is going to be up. As Lyon continues, spins one, pass it. The outside edge of Thomas's bat for a dot ball. I think that came off. That was bounced into the ground. Thomas hit that into the ground and it bobbed up to Steve Smith. It slipped. Steve Smith was caught by surprise by that. In the end, dot ball line again to Thomas. This one spins back into Thomas. He defends this to the offside for no run. John says, Lyon more guile makes it look simple. Simply deceptive. He hasn't got too many tricks, but he's a very good bowler, Nathan Lyon, and he's doing a good job here in this over. As he bowls again to Thomas. Thomas defends on the front foot. No run. Han says they are interchangeable, in my opinion. Lyon in that 2009 England team would look great. Swan in that Aussie team would look great. Yeah. Two very good bowlers. It just depends who you prefer, really. And if you go off the stats or anything like that, two very good bowlers and obviously two very good off spinners. And certainly Nathan Lyon's the best off spinner that Australia's ever had, obviously. That's why they call him the GOAT, greatest of all time, certainly off spinner for Australia. But for him to take 450 wickets, most of those wickets, 200 of them in Australia, is a pretty good effort on these pitches. Lyon back down the pitch. Thomas, and this one's going to the boundary. Won't quite get to the long off boundary. Stark will cut it off for 3. They'll come back for the 3rd. Good running from the West Indies, and they need to improve their running between the wickets. It's been poor in this test match. We've seen a couple of run-outs. Two balls left. Nathan Lyon, none for 3. Good start from his spell. He's going to bowl to Holder. 4 men around the bat. And Holder tries to work it on the leg side. In the end, doesn't quite time it. Dot ball. Hart says Swan does better impressions than Gary. I guess to say, Han, that Chris Jordan is the GOAT. Line in to Holder. This one defended. Holder works it to backward point for a dot ball. It's the end of the over. 4 for 30 after 16 for the West Indies. Australia well in control of this test match. They need 6 wickets to win to wrap up the test match and to wrap up the series and hopefully win 2-0. And that will be the plan for the Australian bowlers and the Australian team. John says, didn't Swan retire and run home in the middle of the 2013-14 Ashes? Says enough, no character. He did retire in that Ashes series, retired after Melbourne. Well, in fact, I think he retired after Melbourne. Graham Swan. No, he retired in Perth after that test. Didn't play in Melbourne. Yeah. So Australia needs 6 wickets to win. Michael Nessa will be hoping to get one more breakthrough for Australia with 8 overs left in the day's play. And he'll be bowling to Devon Thomas. Scott Boland What a test match. 3 wickets already. Nessa into Thomas, works it off his pads for a dot ball to mid-on. And says, did Trott retire in that series too? Yes, he did. After the first test. So Jonathan Trott played the first test in Brisbane. Then he got that bouncer barrage from Mitchell Johnson. And obviously we know what happened to, obviously, Jonathan Trott, obviously. He's detailed his struggles there, obviously, with mental health and his well-being at that time. And then he decided to go home after the first test, obviously. So, so Trott did play the first test, but then he went home after the first test of that series, where England lost 5-0 in 2013-14. Nessa to Thomas, defends on the front foot, no run. West Indies 4-30, in a bit of trouble. What can they do? West Indies, they've got to show some character, some fight, resilience, resistance. Hans says, so if 2 players retire due to mental health issues, something must have been bad in the coaching culture. You could say that, Han, not necessarily. I think it's down to the individual themselves. I think it's just down to your feelings and how you feel, because everyone goes through it. It just affects more certain people than others. Mental health, it's a big issue. Certainly in all sports and life and society, but also in cricket. A lot of cricketers are pulling out in the men's and the women's game, just taking breaks because the schedule, everything, what's happening. It's definitely a big factor that we all have to look after ourselves. Thomas defends again on the front foot for no run off Nessa, dot ball. It's definitely a big issue. So maybe coaching culture, but maybe it's just down to the individual, how they feel, how they're feeling. Probably something's triggered something. That's what happens with mental health. It's on a continuum. It never stops. If you watch that interview that I did with Mark from Opening Up, who works in England, in the UK, about mental health and well-being, goes around cricket clubs over there talking about it. We talked about it in that episode. It does affect everyone, really. So I can understand, that he felt a bit down and it was a difficult series for everyone, for England on that tour, but for him more so, it just affects players differently, and we see a lot of players pulling out of series and tournaments because of it. And something that we need to monitor and make sure people get the support and help they need. And certainly cricket's starting to do that. This one short for Nessa. Thomas pulls this into the crowd. Doesn't quite get it all the way for a 6, but it just stops halfway to the cover boundary, to the square leg boundary for a couple of runs to end the over. End of the over, 4 for 32. Thomas there trying to hit that short ball from Nessa into the crowd. Didn't quite time it. Hans says, is this the series with the text messages and tweets about KP? That was 2012 South Africa, Hans. So when South Africa toured England in 2012, that's when that whole thing happened with KP in 2012. So that was the series before the Ashes, obviously the previous year. Nathan Lyon in for his 3rd over. 7 overs remain in the day's play. He bowls to Holder, who defends on the front foot. There was no run. Hans says there was a time in the England dressing room where it was very toxic. Yeah. I think I did hear about that as well. Obviously, I think that documentary that England did called The Edge, similar to the Test documentary that Australia did hear about that. Obviously, it was a tough culture or regime under Andy Flower, etc., and Strauss. Environments can be toxic at times. And certainly for England at that time, it was very heated. toxic, obviously. A lot of things happening. And every cricket team goes through those challenges that you face as a team. As Lyon bowls to Holder from around the wicket to the right-hander. So Nathan Lyon, right arm around the wicket, bowling around the wicket to the right-hander and Holder. A lot of catches around the bat, around about 4 fielders around the bat for Nathan Lyon, or 3 in fact. A slip and a leg slip and a short leg. Playing a miss from Holder, dot ball. Nathan Lyon, 3 wickets in the first innings. He'll be hoping to get a wicket here. 6 overs remain after this for the West Indies. Can they survive? Can they bat until the end of play without losing another wicket? We shall see what they do with the bat here. Lyon in again. This one defended on the back foot from Holder for no run. 5 dot balls. Something going to happen potentially. Jason Holder get out here. Line in to Holder. This one worked to mid-on from Holder for no runs. It's the end of the over. It's 4:32. It's a maiden after 18 overs. West Indies 4:32. Looks like Scott Boland's going to have another trundle. Takes off his baggy green, gives it over to Kumar Damasina. He will hold his cap. Scott Boland marks out his run-up. Raring to go for a short burst of 3 overs potentially. There's 6 overs left of the day. I think give 3 overs to Boland. Short burst before stumps. Hopefully pick up another couple of wickets here. Have a look at that. Scott Boland's bowling average in his Test career. In the first and second innings, he's averaging 24 in the first innings. He's averaging under 4 and a bit in the second innings when bowling in Test career. That's pretty good. So here we go. Scott Boland to Thomas. This one, playing a miss. Outside off stump. Straight through to the keeper for no run. Now Scott Boland needs another 3 wickets. He's got 3 for 7. Can he pick up 6 for 7 again like he did last year at the MCG? John says no, can't always blame other influences. If those blokes were not okay, they probably should have not toured in the first place. Boland in to Thomas. This one on his pads. He works it out to square leg for a single. They were thinking about 2, but I don't think the West Indies want to risk a run out at this stage. Because I don't think that's what they want to do. It's been quite poor with the running from the West Indies today. Their first innings was a little bit all over the place. Scott Boland, 3 for 8 into his 5th over. Hans says even Gabe could have taken a 5 for against him. Maybe. I don't know which style of bowling he bowls. Han, is he a fast bowler or is he a spinner? Or medium pacer? Or Dibbly-Dobbly, wibbly-wobbly sort of bowler? Bowling in to Holder. He defends on the front foot to mid-off for no run. We've got 6 overs left, so I think Scott Boland will bowl 3 overs of the 6, and I think Nathan Lyon will probably bowl maybe 3 more overs or go back to Mitchell Starc for a short burst. I think that will be a good thing from Steve Smith, just to have Mitchell Starc for a short burst, 3 overs before the end of the day's play. Well, Steve Smith is pretty comfortable as captain in this test, replacing Cummins for this test match. Boland to Holder. Leaves outside the off stump, straight through to the keeper for no run. Hans says Gabe bowls the ball 50 metres in the air and it drops just in front of the crease. Well, be interesting to see what sort of bowling action Gabe has. Is it traditional or unorthodox? Well, you could be describing that bowler from Romania, Pavel Florian. the one who bowls in the European Cricket League. You know, he tends to bowl the ball very high up in the air, and it does get a bit of dip. He's out here in Australia, actually, playing some club cricket in Melbourne, apparently. Bowling in to Holder. This one worked to find leg for deep backward square leg, for a single. Gabe says that Dominicans have hands like sandpaper, so check the ball every 5 seconds. So we got 6 overs left of the West Indian innings for tonight, at least. Boland in again to Thomas, playing a miss outside his off stump. Past the outside edge to win the over. It's the end of the over. It's 4 for 34 after 19. West Indies need 497, which is unlikely. Australia needs 6 wickets to win and to wrap up the Sir Frank Worrell Trophy and win the series 2-0. John says, reckon Gabe might bowl like Tangles Walker. Yeah, Max Walker. There's an action for, yes, he bowled off the wrong foot. So he could have an action like him. Hart says, Lords would need a new rule book. If Gabe plays by Jove, there is no law about mushing. Probably. Nathan Lyon to continue. So it is going to be Nathan Lyon to bowl probably the last 3 overs from this end at the Riverbank stand in. Dot ball to begin to Holder. So Nathan Lyon bowling from the River Torrens end. Riverbank stand in at the Adelaide Oval. The other end's the Cathedral end, scoreboard end. For those who want to know that. Line in bowls to Holder. On the back foot, defends for no run. Hans says Gabe would bowl like Paul Adams and then discolate his whole body. Yeah, Paul Adams, spinner from South Africa, frog in a blender, as he was called, because he did look like a frog in a blender. All arms and legs everywhere. Line in again to Holder. This one defended on the front foot for no run. Well, Devon Thomas, the debutant, and Jason Holder doing their job, trying to blunt the Australian attack, trying to get through the stumps and see what they can do tomorrow on day 4. Line in, an appeal for LBW. Turned down by Rod Tucker, says not out. Dot ball. Hans says, I think it would be crazy to think about how many ways Gabe would try to cheat. Well, yeah, be interesting. Nathan Lyon to Holder again. Defends on the front foot again for no run. Nathan Lyon asking questions. There's some spin from Nathan Lyon. Hans says, I can't imagine him kicking the non-striker as he runs in. Well, you may do that. Well, it's not rugby or it's not soccer or gridiron or anything like that. Lyon to Holder, who drives through the covers for a nice boundary to the cover boundary to end the over. It's 4 for 36 after 20. Sorry, 4 for 38. My mistake. 4 for 38 after 20. Target 497. West Indies. Let's know in the chat, what have you made of this series? What are your thoughts on the series? How would you judge Australia and the West Indies?
Sorry, I didn't quite catch that. Could you please repeat it?
Sorry about that, everyone. That's the 3rd time tonight the series interrupted me.
It's okay.
Sorry about that. I should really turned off my phone there or turn off Siri. I do apologise again. As Boland continues, this one falling short of Cameron Green in the gully. Thomas survives. There's 5 overs left in the day's play. Just nearly approaching 10 o'clock local time. 3 minutes away from that. A reminder for everyone, this is a day-night test, of course. So we start at 2:30 in the afternoon and go through until 9:30, 10 o'clock. Depends on how fast the overs are in, the over rate. Scott Boland, 3 for 9, into his 6th over. He was about to ball the ball, but Devon Thomas pulled out, not ready. Just probably something behind the side screen in terms of someone moving or probably not ready in his routine. He's ready now. He takes guard and faces up to Boland, who's steaming in again. Top of his mark. He's running past the umpire. He bowls. Thomas leaves this one outside the off stump. It's a short delivery outside the off stump. Left through the keeper for no run. From Devon Thomas on debut, who's actually a reserve wicket keeper, and he bowled a few overs in the first innings. Hahn says, I can't imagine him using fishing wire attached to the ball. Super strong aftershave, fake fingernails, you name it, he'll try it. Well, he could, as Scott Boland bowls to Thomas. This one defended from Thomas with no run. Dot ball again from Scott Boland. So we've got, a few overs left in the day's play. I was reading that wrong. Australia needs 6 wickets to win. I don't know how many overs we've got in the day's play, but I think we've got a few overs left. We're nearly approaching 10 o'clock local time in Adelaide. Scott Boland again to Thomas. Thomas defends on the front foot. Solid in defence from Devon Thomas. Looking to survive and get through to the end of the day's play. That's been very good from the Australian point of view. They've really bowled well, executed their plans. It's been a good test match from them heading into the South Africa series. I think they'll be very pleased with how proceedings have gone in this test match. Boland, and again to Thomas, this one defended for no run. 8 off 43, Thomas. Holder 8 off 36. We're nearly approaching 10 o'clock. The clock on the famous scoreboard. Just nearly ticking over to 10 o'clock, which is not far away from the close. We could get one more over in. Depends how quick we are. And how quick Scott Boland bowls this last ball. Last ball from Scott Boland. Thomas defends. That's the end of the over. 4 for 38. It's a maiden. I think we're going to get one more over in. Australia rushing to get one more over in, and they will. So one more over to finish the day's play. West Indies 4 for 38 after 21 overs. They need 497 runs to win. 1 over remaining. We've just ticked over 10 o'clock local time. And 1 over will be what's left in the quota for today. For the 90 overs that have to be bowled each day. West Indies need 459 runs to win. Australia needs 6 wickets to win. I think Australia's victory is likely. West Indian batting has been poor throughout the both innings thus far, and they'll be looking to try and get through to the close of play and see what they can do on day 4. I think the test match could be over tomorrow. Line into Holder. Defends on the front foot. Got a bit of glove, nearly bobbed up in the air to bat pad on the offside and short leg. No run. Hahn says, Gabe, how's that? Come on, it's out. How much did they pay you? Is the batter your nephew? So line into Holder. This one defended on the front foot. It was in the air for a while. Nearly into the hands of Labuschagne at short leg. Just got away with that. Jason Holder, who was prodding on the front foot. Inside edge onto the pad. Nearly to Marnus Labuschagne at short leg, but it went wide of him in front of square on the leg side. He couldn't get there in time. Nathan Lyon asking questions in this last over. Jason Holder, again, didn't look convincing. Marnus Labuschagne fields the ball at short leg. Got 3 balls left in the day's play. Travis Head is now at sort of a straight mid-off, really. His fielders around the bat. Holder on the front foot again to Lyon. Dot ball to Finns. 2 balls left in the day's play. Hahn says Max Walker took wickets, so that is very unlike Gabe. Gabe would be like a drunk uncle at a wedding, struggling to stay upright at all times. Line in to Holder. Defends on the front foot again for no run. 8 off 41 deliveries, Jason Holder. 1 ball left to negotiate before the end of play. Nathan Lyon, last ball of his 5th over. Jason Holder. Line in to Holder. Defends on the front foot for a dot ball. It's the end of the over. It's the end of the day's play. Australia have done very well. The West Indies, end of the last over, 4:38 after 22 overs. West Indies are in a bit of trouble in their second innings. Australia, well in control of this test match. They will need a further 6 wickets tomorrow afternoon to wrap up this test match from Adelaide and to win the series 2-0. And I think they could do that. Hahn says Windies have done well to survive after losing their top 4 batsmen. Yes, they have. Jason Holder and Devon Thomas on debut have done pretty well. But for the Australian bowlers, 3 wickets for Scott Boland, a wicket for Stark. And Australia will be very happy with how today has gone. They bowled the West Indies out cheaply in the first innings for 214. They batted for a second time, didn't force the follow-on, got the lead up to 496, 497 for the West Indies, got 4 wickets for 38 runs in the start of the West Indian second innings, and Australia will be very happy with how they performed as the players walk off for the end of day 3. 2 more days left in the test match here in Adelaide. And from what we expect, the West Indies, I think it's going to be an important day tomorrow, of course, to try and bat out the day. But I don't think the West Indies have enough resilience or fight or resistance. So I think it's probably going to finish tomorrow. You never know. It may go into day 5. We saw that in Perth from the West Indies. They took it to day 5, second session. They could do the same in this test match. Scott Boland, 3 for 9 from his 6 overs. 3 maidens, going for 1.5 runs per over. He's bowled pretty well. He's having a chat after the day's play. John says that's exactly how Max bowled. They didn't call him Tangles for nothing. No, they didn't. He bowled off the wrong foot. That's why they called him that. Bit tangled up in all of a mess, really. But he was a very good bowler for Australia, Max Walker. So, Australia in a good position here at the end of the day's play on day 3. West Indies in a bit of trouble, and they are going to struggle to try and bat out for a draw if they can. It's not going to be easy. Can they do it? We'll never know. They could do it, but Australia need another 6 wickets to win. As Shannon says, another 6 wickets to win. They do another 6 wickets to win to wrap up this test match for Australia and to go 2-0 up in the series and to win the series convincingly. Thank you, Han. You say, got to go now. It was a great stream again. Bye, everyone. Bye, Han. I hope you enjoyed the stream, and I hope everyone enjoyed it. A very interesting last session. Australia taking 4 wickets from the West Indian innings, and the West Indies are 438 after 22 overs. They need 497 runs to win. Australia needs 6 wickets to win to wrap up the series. Just a quick recap before we go about what happened in the day's play. The West Indies were bowled out for their first innings for 214 in their first innings. Australia wrapped it up in the afternoon. First session, West Indies all out for 214 in their first innings. Tagnarayan Chanderpaul top scored with 47. West Indies bowled out for 214 from 69.3 overs. The Australian bowlers took most of the wickets. All of them contributed except for Scott Boland in the first innings. Nathan Lyon was the best of the Australian bowlers with 3 wickets for 57 from 20 overs. Australia batted again to extend their lead to 496, which they then declared on 6 for 199 declared from 31 overs. Travis Head batted well, 38 not out from 27 balls. Usman Khawaja was the top scorer, with 45 or 50 balls. He was the top scorer for Australia in their second innings. For the West Indies, 3 wickets for Azari Joseph. He was the best of the West Indian bowlers in the second innings, 3 for 33 from 7, and a wicket for Anderson Phillip, and 2 wickets for Roston Chase. For the West Indies, in their second innings, all in disarray, losing 4 early wickets for 21 runs. They lost Braithwaite early for 3. Then they lost Shamar Brooks for a duck. And then Jermaine Blackwood for a duck. And then Tagnaran Chanderpaul caught behind for 17. Devon Thomas 8 not out. And Jason Holder 8 not out survive for the West Indies at the end of day 3. Australia needs 6 wickets to win. The West Indies are 4 for 38 after 22 overs. They need an improbable 497 runs to win. Australia need a likely 6 wickets to win to wrap up the series and to go 2-0 up to finish the series and to retain the Sir Frank Worrell Trophy, which they did in the first test in Perth. So that's a quick summary of what's happened on day 3. John says not just the wrong foot, but his this hooping around round arm, a medium fast with no extension follow through of the left arm. Don't get me wrong, love Max. Yeah, it was definitely a good bowler for his time playing for Australia, of course, Max Walker. So a very short summary there of the proceedings of today. We'll recap the other games that are happening at the moment. So let's recap the Pakistan test match quickly. That test match is going at a very good pace. The first innings, England were dismissed for 281 in their first innings, 51.4 overs. Top scorer was Ben Duckett with 63. For Pakistan, the debutant Abrar Ahmed took 7 wickets for 114 runs from 22 overs. That's a pretty good debut. Pakistan in their first innings were dismissed today for 202. And top scorer was Babar Azam, the captain, was 75. And then Pakistan had a bit of a batting collapse, lost some wickets there. For the England bowlers, Jack Leach took 4 wickets for 98 runs from his 27 overs. And England, currently in their second innings, have lost 5 wickets for 189 runs in 46.1 overs. At the moment, Ben Duckett is the top scorer with 79, but he could be surpassed by Harry Brook, who's 70 not out and batting really well with the skipper, Ben Stokes, who's at the crease at the moment. Abrar Ahmed, the debutant, has taken 3 wickets for Pakistan in the second innings. England had a couple of run-outs for their 5 wickets. So that's that test match happening at the moment from Multan. Second test match between Pakistan and England. Let's recap the tour match between the Cricket Australia 11 and the South Africa team. Obviously, South Africa preparing for the test series against Australia, which begins next week. South Africa batted first in the tour match, were dismissed for 347 from 97.2 overs. Dean Elgar, the captain, top scored with a century, 109 he scored. The Cricket Australia 11 bowlers did a pretty good job. Matt Kuhnemann took 4 wickets for 78 runs for the Cricket Australia 11. Cricket Australia 11 in their first innings, in reply to South Africa's first innings, all out for 226 from 72.3 overs. Campbell Kellaway top scored with 105 not out. And for the South African bowlers, pretty much a very good effort from them. Ngidi took 3 wickets along with Coetzee took 3 wickets as well. They were the pick of the bowlers for South Africa. And South Africa, at the moment in their second innings, none for 9 after 5 overs. And they lead by 130 runs with 10 wickets in hand in that tour match, which is at Allan Field in Queensland. And obviously, the first test between Australia and South Africa will be at the Gabba in a few days from now. So just a quick summary of the other games that are happening from around the world. We've got the Bangladesh and India one-dayer. And we'll recap this match. This match is happening at the moment. And India batted first, made 8 for 409 from their 50 overs. A brilliant double century from Ishan Kishan, opening the batting, 210 from him. Brilliant innings from Virat Kohli, 113. The Bangladesh bowlers toiled hard, 2 wickets for Taskin Ahmed, Ibadat Hussain and Shakib Al Hassan. And for Bangladesh at the moment, they are currently 3 for 90 after 17 overs, in a bit of trouble, chasing 410 to win. So you would think India are in the box seat to win that third and final one-day international in Bangladesh. So that's the cricket that's happening from around the world. Plenty happening. And that's a quick summary of what's happened around the world in cricket. And some interesting games of cricket going on. Shannon Humphrey says, and of course, both Marnus, Labuschagne and Travis Head made 100 in the first innings. Yes, they did. They batted well. Good confidence for them going forward into the South Africa series, which is next week. So very good innings from Labuschagne and Head. And they'll be delighted with how they batted in this series. John says Australia does need to finish this match off quickly tomorrow and not let it drag into day 5. It's in their hands now. Yes, it is, John. I think they'll wrap it up tomorrow. I think it could finish probably middle session tomorrow. Obviously, if you watched what happened early this afternoon, the West Indies were bowled out pretty quickly. So I wouldn't put it past Australia to wrap up the game in probably the first session. Just seeing what happened this afternoon with the West Indies, they got bowled out pretty quickly this afternoon. So I think Australia will do the same thing tomorrow on day 4, wrap up the test, and have a couple of days off going into Brisbane for the first test against the Proteas in South Africa. So, but as you say, John, exactly right. It's in their hands. I think they'll get the job done and finish it off in quick time. So there we go. That's what's been happening in the world of cricket and certainly in this test match. Now, before we go, thanks everyone for subscribing. I've seen we've gained a few more subscribers tonight. We're over 500 plus subscribers, which is fantastic. And great to see people watching and subscribing to the podcast, which is fantastic. But before we go, everyone, if you haven't seen these videos or episodes that we've done, obviously we had Gabe from Cricket for Americans come and chat to me a few months ago about many different topics within the game of cricket. We did a live stream discussion a few months ago in August, but it went over for 3 hours. But if you haven't got time for that, we did do a couple of episodes where we talked about Australian cricket and the West Indies cricket as well. So we'll leave a link to those in the chat right now, so people can go and watch that. Obviously, Gabe's a West Indian supporter and also an Australian supporter. And we talked about Australian and West Indies cricket. So it's, of course, interesting to hear his thoughts on that. I'll leave a link to that in the chat before we go so people can check that out. And we also did Australian cricket as well. So we can check that out after this live stream. I'll leave a link to those in the comments before we go and before we wrap up here. There we go. So people can access those episodes. They're on our YouTube channel, of course, and we talked about Australian and West Indian cricket. So check those episodes out if you haven't done so already. Shannon says, and of course, BBL starts in 3 days' time. Yes, it does. BBL does start in 3 days' time, which is exciting. We'll be doing some BBL matches as well. So stay tuned for that. But yes, the BBL starts in a few days from now. John says, shouldn't go on to the second new ball. See you at the Gabba. Good night. Good night, John. Yes. And that will be our next live stream, everyone. So we will be back for another live stream watch along of the Test series for Australia and South Africa. That will be the first test at the Gabba. That will be day 3, session number 3. And that will be the next live stream we'll be doing on the podcast on our YouTube channel. So that will be our next live stream. Thanks, everyone, for joining us. If you haven't done so already, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow us on Twitter and on Instagram. We're on there. The podcast is available on Anchor, Spotify, and on Apple Podcasts. Make sure you check us out on those platforms. But thanks, everyone, for joining us. I hope everyone enjoyed tonight. And no doubt Australia will be looking to push on for victory when it comes to day 4 of this test match and look to wrap up the series, win 2-0, and look to win the South Africa series as well, gaining confidence from this series against the West Indies. But thanks, everyone, for joining us. And we hope to see you for the next live stream watch along, which will be day 3, session number 3 of the first test at the Gabba between Australia and South Africa. But until then, keep safe and bye for now.